Hey kid, don't ever let them get inside your head. They'll tell you what to do in life instead of everything you know that you could get. Don't let them guide your life towards regret. I'll fight for what I love with every breath. My past is filled with things I won't forget.
Chapter 1 My father was millionaire. It's 9 o'clock in the evening, in the boys' dormitory of a well-known university. Chen Hao, go to room 101 on the first floor and bring me my laptop. A guy with blonde hair from the next dormitory over kicked Chen Hao's room door open. After throwing Chen Hao $1, he put his hands into his pockets and went back to his dormitory. Also, Chen, don't forget to buy me a bottle of mineral water from the supermarket downstairs. The blonde hair guy threw another $3 on the ground. 2 were for the water, and the other was Chen Hao's tip. Hey Blondie, why do the people from your dormitory always ask Chen Hao to run errands for you? Why are you always bullying him? The people in Chen Hao's dormitory asked with a straight face as they could not stand it anymore. Chen Hao is from your dormitory. Don't you know he's willing to do anything for money? Blondie said with a sarcastic tone and a mocking expression on his face. Chen Hao tried to turn a deaf ear to the snarky comments, but he was embarrassed by what Blondie had said. He bent down and picked up the money from the ground. He thought, with this money, I should have enough to get some ramen noodles, and make it through today. Chen Hao, don't go. If you don't have any money, we can lend you money. You don't have to pay it back, the head of the dormitory said sympathetically. Chen Hao smiled humbly and shook his head, thank you. He turned around and went out. The people in the dorm gazed at Chen Hao's figure from behind and shook their heads with pity. Honestly, Chen Hao didn't want to run errands for people, but he also wanted to live happily at university like the other students. He was lucky to be here after all. He was extremely poor. His roommates were very nice to him. But the more they helped, the less he wanted their help. Because he knew that if he constantly borrowed money from them, no matter how strong their friendship was, they would eventually start to grow apart. Besides his roommates, Chen Hao had almost nothing in the university. Chen Hao, I heard Blondie said that you're going downstairs. An elegantly dressed student came out of the room next door. His name was Su Nan, the leader of Blondie's dormitory. His family ran a factory. He was rich, tall, and handsome, and was hugely popular among the females. However, he had always looked down on Chen Hao. Even on a good day, he would not look Chen Hao in the eye. Chen Hao had no idea what he wanted. Chen Hao looked up and said, yes. Su Nan smiled nonchalantly. He took out a box of Durex condoms from his pocket and threw it at Chen Hao. Perfect timing. A friend of mine is in the East Grove today. Go and deliver this to him. I will give you $10. Su Nan was a playboy and dated a lot of girls. He also had many friends just like him. Chen Hao didn't think much about it. He just wanted to make money. Chen Hao took the condoms and headed for the stairs. As he turned his back, he heard Su Nan's laughter coming from behind. Chen Hao went downstairs. He planned to take Blondie's computer and buy the bottle of mineral water. On his way back from delivering the condoms, Chen Hao knew that the East Grove outside the campus was a famous hookup place where couples would go to have sex. Chen Hao quickly arrived at the East Grove. He saw a couple sitting on the promenade in the woods. They were talking and laughing. Under the moonlight, Chen Hao saw their faces distinctly. His whole body trembled. It was her. Chen Hao's eyes turned red at once, and the Durex he held in his hand fell onto the ground. The woman, Yang Xia, was Chen Hao's ex-girlfriend. It had only been 3 days since they broke up. Of course, it was Yang Xia who dumped Chen Hao. When they broke up, Yang Xia said that she needed some alone time. Chen Hao couldn't believe that she was already hooking up with another guy. Chen Hao's sudden appearance drew their attention. Everyone wore a different expression on their face. Chen Hao. Why are you here? You, don't get me wrong. Lu Chen and I are. Yang Xia was a little flustered. At least she still had a sense of shame. She lowered her head. Lu Chen, who was sitting next to Yang Xia, let go of her. He looked at the Durex which fell to the ground, stood up and burst into laughter. Wow, Su Nan is truly something else. I asked him to give me some rubbers. I guess he sent you to give them to me. What a jackass! This is too funny. Lu Chen came from a rich family as well. Chen Hao knew that he was Su Nan's friend. His family operated several restaurants. He always drove the latest model of BMW to school. Chen Hao clenched his fist tightly as Lu Chen spoke. It turned out that Su Nan have done this on purpose. He should have seen this coming. He should have known as soon as he broke up with Yang Xia, that Su Nan would do something to mess with him. Xia, I know you didn't want to date a poor guy, but you don't have to be with this kind of person. Don't you know how many girlfriends he has had? He is probably seeing someone else now. Chen Hao shouted angrily. He loved this girl with all his heart. Yang Xia became angry when she heard Chen Hao's insult. Chen Hao, who do you think you are? You have no right to teach me a lesson. I broke up with you. Whom I want to be with is my right. It's none of your business. Chen can buy me expensive cosmetics and skincare products. He can also buy me an iPhone and name-brand bags. Can you? Additionally, Yang Xia was furious. She looked at the condom that Chen Hao dropped on the ground. You came here just to mess with me, didn't you? Get lost. Yang Xia lunged forward and slapped Chen Hao on the face. Lu Chen laughed even louder. Xia, don't let him go. Let him stay here. He can watch and learn a thing or two. Yang Xia blushed. Chen, I am in no mood after seeing this guy again. I will make it up to you next time. She broke free from Lu Chen's arms. Chen Hao did not know how he left the grove. His mind was a complete blank. Is life all about money? This all happened because he had no money. As Chen Hao arrived at the door of the dormitory, he came to his senses after hearing his classmates' laughter. Su Nan laughed with his hands on his stomach. His face had turned red because he laughed too hard. Apparently, Su Nan had told everyone about what happened. Chen Hao, what did you see just now? Blondie asked while laughing. Yang Xia is fine as hell. Maybe when Chen Hao arrived, Lu Chen had already taken care of business. Su Nan smiled maliciously. Chen Hao clenched his fists and his eyes turned red. He wanted to kill Su Nan right there and then. Why do you have to treat me like this? Chen Hao bawled. Su Nan laughed even louder. Look, the broke bastard is so angry. I'm so scared. Okay, I tell you the reason. You are poor. In the whole class, I despise you the most. Let's be real, you never deserved a great lady like Yang Xia. It makes more sense for my friend to have her for a few days. By the way, here is a little salt in the wound. Didn't you spend 1 year pursuing Yang Xia? She was already into Lu Chen within half an hour of chatting with him on WeChat. Everyone was laughing. Nobody cared about Chen Hao. He felt so small. I'm gonna kill you. Chen Hao pounced on Su Nan and tried to punch him in the face. Before Chen Hao was even close, Su Nan's friends were all over him. Chen Hao was pulled back into his dorm by his roommates. Lying on the bed, Chen Hao covered himself with his blanket and sobbed sadly. Why do they all bully me and trample on my dignity? Is it just because I am poor? They don't even consider me a human being. Chen Hao felt a great rage within and pulled his hairs fiercely. He still remembered the days with Yang Xia. After crying for a very long time, he fell asleep. Perhaps he could only find peace during such a dark and silent night. When he woke up early the next morning, there was no one in the dormitory. Chen Hao knew that it was the head of the dorm who didn't want to wake him up. I guess it is better for him to stay in the dormitory than to go back to the classroom. When Chen Hao picked up his mobile phone, he found many text messages and missed calls. What surprised Chen Hao was these calls were all from a foreign phone number. There was also a text message from the bank. China Bank 2019. Your current account balance is 10,005,000. Looking at this number, Chen Hao was stunned. 10 million. Who transferred 10 million to him? Chen Hao immediately called the bank to confirm. After the confirmation, he was completely stunned. At that moment, the phone rang again. It was a foreign phone number. Chen Hao answered at once. How, did you receive the money? It's me, your sister. A familiar voice came from the other end of the phone. Sister. What is going on? Aren't you working overseas with mom and dad? When did you get so much money? Chen Hao felt his heart almost jump into his mouth. Although I still have to keep this secret from you for another 2 years according to our dad's order, I heard that you're being bullied at school, so I want to tell you that our family is rich. Our family's property spans the globe. Do you know Africa? Let's put it this way, 80% of Africa's gold and oil mines belong to our family. That doesn't even include our properties in China and overseas. Chen Hao swallowed his saliva. If it were not for the 10 million already his account, he would never believe it. He would absolutely think that his sister was crazy. I know you don't believe it. You should take some time to digest this news. I also grew up in a poor. Now I'm slowly getting used to the life of the rich. By the way, an express delivery should have arrived at your school this morning. Inside the package there are some things that I want to give you. You needn't have to worry about money. I don't know the prices in China now. In short, you can spend 10 million first, and I will give you some more money next month. After hanging up the phone, Chen Hao could not keep calm down for a long time. He was born in a poor environment. But now, he was a trust fund baby. Chapter 2 Too extravagant. It turned out that the parents and sister were all lying to him about going out to work. Later, Chen Hao called his parents to verify, but his parents were angry at his sister for telling him the truth in advance. Then, they apologized to him. His father said he has only one son, and he wanted his son to have a strong character, so that is why. They let him think he was poor. They had a lot of catching up to do. It was only when Chen Hao finally took out 100,000 cash from the bank and received some golden cards sent by his sister, that Chen Hao was fully convinced that this was not a dream. Chen Hao felt conflicted. Yang Xia, if you haven't broken up with me, you could have gotten anything you wanted. And Su Nan, Lu Chen, you both come from wealthy families, always surrounded by ass-kissers and sycophants. Maybe a little taste of your own medicine would be nice. Chen Hao laughed bitterly. It was almost noon when he left the bank and reached the school gate. Chen Hao's cell phone rang. It's the supervisor of the dormitory. What's up? Chen, are you okay? Why aren't you in the dorm? Oh, I came out for a walk. We're all worried about you, you know. By the way, today is Ma Zionan's birthday, but she couldn't reach you, so she let me ask you whether you'll go celebrate with her or not. Apparently, she mentioned it to you a few days ago. Hearing this, Chen Hao scrolled through his missed calls. There were many, including one from Ma Zionan. Ma Zionan was Chen Hao's classmate. She's very beautiful and they got along well. Now that he broke up with Yang Xia, Ma Zionan was the only female friend he had. She did insist that he must come to her birthday party, but at that time, he barely had enough to eat, so he didn't promise her that he would come. But now, things have changed. Chen Hao decided to live like a normal person with his own circle of friends. Why not? He could afford to buy a gift. Hundreds of gifts actually. Hanging up, Chen Hao glanced around. Among the shops around him, only Hermes caught his attention. This is an internationally acclaimed luxury store. The products are pricey, but it still attracts a bunch of rich kids on campus so they could keep up with the last fashion. Before, Chen Hao never expected to enter a shop like this. Now, he had a VIP shopping card that his sister sent to him. He couldn't help but feel excited. Hell, he could buy this store on a whim. Chen Hao was not used to spending his money, but using a card made it a lot easier. Taking a deep breath, Chen Hao walked into Hermes. "Hello sir, how may I help you?" The well-groomed waitress greeted Chen Hao politely. Despite her attempts to remain professional, after seeing Chen Hao's style of dress, there was still a hint of disgust in her eyes. "I'll just look around," Chen Hao said. This was the first time he had come to such a shop. He really didn't know what to buy. Soon the waitress's attitude became a little cold. She even rolled her eyes. "Darling, can you buy me a bag?" At this moment, a familiar voice rang through his ears. A tall and beautiful girl appeared, holding a boy's arm. Chen Hao turned his head to look. Suddenly his face changed. It was Yang Xia and Liu Chen. "Oh, here you are, Mr. Liu Chen. Is this your girlfriend so beautiful?" When the waitress saw Liu Chen, her attitude did a drastic U-turn. She hurriedly welcomed him with a smile. Liu Chen's family was rich, so he was always in the spotlight no matter where he went. He smiled at the waitress and said, "Thank you, Miss Zhang. Are you?" "She is my girlfriend, Yang Xia. I want to buy her a bag." Yang Xia blushed. Liu Chen was really amazing. He's respected everywhere he goes. Yang Xia pointed at a branded bag and said, "Darling, I want this." The bag was on display, looking amazing. The waitress Zhang Ru said with a smile, "This bag is a collection made by Hermes during its 200th anniversary celebration. Only 200 sets have been produced in the world. Only 200 sets have been produced worldwide. It cost $70,000. Wow!" Yang Xia almost covered her mouth in shock. Liu Chen's eyelids fluttered slightly. He said with a smile, "Zhang Ru, if I guess right, this bag is handmade by Hermes. Given its excellent workmanship, it's ranked among the top 10 list of the world's luxury goods, despite being on the market for only a year. Am I right?" The waitress was slightly surprised. "Wow, you know a lot." Liu Chen shook his head. "Although I enjoy luxury goods, I can't claim to be an expert." Then he looked at Yang Xia. "My dear, you really have good taste. You were eyeing the bag the moment we walked into the store. But why don't you take a look at others, preferably in the range of $5,000 to $6,000. Liu Chen would rather die than pay $70,000 for a bag." Yang Xia pouted. "But my roommate's boyfriend bought her a bag that cost more than $8,000. Okay, maybe next month when I have more spare cash." At that moment, Lu Chen's description of the collector's edition bag had caught other people's attention. They started circling in on the luxury bag. They were all young students, but they were very fond of luxury goods. Chen Hao wanted to leave since no one paid attention to him. Yang Xia's presence only made that feeling stronger. At this point, a young waitress walked over and gave Chen Hao a bow. "Hello, sir, what can I do for you?" Based on her timid response, Chen Hao guessed that she was new. But her manners warmed Chen Hao's heart. I want to buy a gift for a friend." Chen Hao replied. "Sir, do you have a shopping card for our store? You can get a discount if you have one." Chen Hao was her first customer. She didn't care about Chen Hao's clothes, she was just using what she learned in training with a low-risk customer. "Oh, yes, is this one okay?" Chen Hao took out the Global Supreme shopping card. The waitress's eyes widened at once. "Is that a Centurion card?" She was full of disbelief. How can an ordinary student own a Centurion card? Chen Hao was stunned. "What is a Centurion card?" "Sir, the Centurion card is the top-class card which can be overdrawn to 30 million, and the minimum spending limit is $70,000. Chen Hao was even more confused. He knew that his elder sister was rich now, but he didn't expect to be so well off. "Sir, given the price range of our goods and the limitations of your card, the collector's edition bag is the only item you may buy. Allow me to show it to you." The waitress bowed repeatedly. Chen Hao was too embarrassed to follow her at first. On the other side of the store, Yang Xia was admiring Lu Chen's exhaustive knowledge of luxury goods. They saw the little waitress come in with a key to pick up the bag in the cabinet. Zhang Ru frowned and asked, "Wang Xiafei, what are you doing?" Wang Xiafei replied in a low voice, "I am taking the bag out for a customer." "Is it something you can see? If you want to see it, who wants it?" Wang Xiafei looked at Chen Hao respectfully. "This gentleman." Lu Chen and Yang Xia glanced at the gentleman at the same time. Everyone was stupefied. "Ha ha ha!" When Chen Lu saw that it was Chen Hao, he laughed out loud. If he could, he'd be lying on the floor laughing. "What, this guy wants the bag?" Lu Chen pointed at Chen Hao, behaving like he had heard a great joke. If that guy worked every day for 10 lifetimes, he couldn't afford to buy that bag. Yang Xia, too, looked at Chen Hao with disdain. Obviously, he was humiliating himself in front of all these affluent people. The other waitress's face fell. "Wang Xiafei, what's wrong with you? Who in this area could possibly afford this bag?" "No, he's got a Centurion card. He is a VIP customer." "Oh, please." Lu Chen couldn't hold back his laughter. "VIP customer? You don't know he is our top poor guy." Yang Xia yelled at him, "Chen Hao, how can you embarrass yourself like that? Get out of here." Chen Hao listened to their taunts. He just thought it was too funny to let continue. He confidently strode toward the counter and slammed the Centurion card on the table. "I'll take the bag." Chapter 3: Our VIP customer. "Chen Hao, stop with this charade," Yang Xia said to him scornfully. However, when the sales named Zhang Ru saw Chen Hao take out the Centurion card, she was immediately stunned. This VIP shopping card could be used at most luxury stores globally and could only be owned by the top 1% of families across the world. Without a doubt, the owner of this card was an elite customer. Wang Xiaolin, who was standing by his side, had already brought out the credit card machine. Chen Hao keyed in his birthday as the passcode. Sure enough, the machine showed that the card swipe was successful. The transaction was complete. After hearing a beep sound, everybody was stunned. Holy shit, that bag was worth more than my parents' cars. How cool is that? Why did this guy hide the fact that he is rich? What a baller! A horde of girls looked at Chen Hao, with their gaze burning with desire. Lu Chen was staring at him wide-eyed in disbelief. How did such poor dude get so rich? Lu Chen thought so and felt embarrassed. Just now he had showed off his knowledge of the various luxury items, but this poor bastard had just bitched him. Yang Xia was shocked as well. She asked, Chen Hao, where did you get this card? The handbag was worth $70,000. How could one buy it without a second thought? Chen Hao even owned a luxury brand VIP shopping card. The card alone must have cost a small fortune. If he had bought this bag for her, everyone would be paying attention to her. Chen Hao gave Yang Xia a glance and didn't bother to answer her. But he still felt the pinch. He muttered in his heart, how could sister give me a shopping card which had a 70,000 minimum spending limit? That is not enough. Sir, I will wrap this up for you. Please wait for half an hour. Of course the packaging must be of the finest quality as this bag was a luxury item. Chen Hao was very embarrassed when he saw the group of male and female students giving him a shocked look. He told the sales to forget about the packaging process. Then, he picked up the bag and left. Wait! You stop right there! A sullen-looking Lu Chen suddenly stood in front of Chen Hao, blocking his way. What do you want? Chen Hao asked coldly. Lu Chen gave a scornful laugh and pointed at the Centurion card in Chen Hao's hand. I suspect that the Centurion card is stolen. Nowadays, it is easy to steal another person's passcode. After uttering those words, he looked at Zhang Ru and said to her, Miss Zhang, I advise you to contact your manager. If words got out, it would greatly affect the shop's reputation. Yang Xia snapped out of her reverie and responded, he is right, Miss Zhang, how could this poor dude buy such an expensive bag and even own a VIP card? Yang Xia was really reluctant to accept reality. After hearing his words, Zhang Ru felt that it was reasonable. At that moment, she looked at Chen Hao and said, Sir, please wait for a while, our manager will be here shortly. After saying that, she blocked Chen Hao's way out, as if she was preventing a thief from escaping. Chen Hao didn't expect that a simple act of buying a bag would cause so much trouble. Seeing the situation, it seemed like he could not walk away. He could only wait quietly for the manager. Not long after that, an elegant woman in her 30s with a pleasant disposition came out. Zhang Ru immediately told her manager that she suspected Chen Hao had stolen the card. The manager gave Chen Hao a once-over. Then, she gave him a professional smile and said, Sir, I am very sorry, but could we check your card? She was very respectful and didn't judge him at all. Chen Hao had no choice but to give her the card. He saw the female manager take out a special card reader, and then skillfully inserted the card into the machine. Sir, may I know your name and may I have your identification card please? The female manager asked. My name is Chen Hao, and my sister's name is Chen Xiao. He answered. Although the passcode of this card was his birth date, Chen Xiao wasn't sure whether the card was registered under his sister's name or not. He passed her his identification card. Well, let us see how this poor dude weasels his way out of this. Lu Chen was smiling coldly in the corner. He even took out his mobile phone and couldn't wait for the moment when he could call the police on Chen Hao. The female manager finished her evaluation quickly. There was a flash of surprise in her eyes as the machine displayed Chen Hao's name as the true owner of the Centurion card. It was a global VIP membership. Hence, the person who owned this card came from an extremely wealthy family for sure. The female manager started to have cold sweats. Stupid Zhang are you, how dare she put her in a position to offend such a valuable customer. After that, she removed the card and walked to Chen Hao. Then, she immediately bent 90 degrees forward in deference. Dear Mr. Chen, please forgive us for our offense. This centurion card truly belongs to you. What? Everybody was shocked. Zhang Rus was still stretching out her hands in a manner to prevent Chen Hao from leaving. In that instant, she felt extremely embarrassed. Manager, is there any mistake? Is this person really the centurion card holder? The female manager raised her head suddenly and gave Zhang Ru a slap on the face. Put your hands down now. Zhang Ru covered her face and retreated to the side of the store. Both Liu Chen and Yang Xia looked dazed. The female manager knew that both of them were Chen Hao's acquaintances. What's more, she also knew that they were ridiculing him. She thought about damage control. What could she do to make it up to Mr. Chen so that he wouldn't have a bad impression of the store? She walked towards Liu Chen and Yang Xia and said to them, "May I ask the two of you, why did you instigate our sales officer to offend our esteemed customer?" Liu Chen's eyes went wide as he said, "I was just doing my civic duty. Making sure that the law was being followed, that's all. We accept your kind gesture. But now, if both of you have no intention of buying anything, please leave our store." She almost snapped the last 4 words. The manager had just thrown down the gauntlet. She might as well as said, "Get the hell out of here." Yang Xia signaled Liu Chen with her eyes, hoping that he would stand up for her. However, Liu Chen was covered in sweat. Even if he threw all of his money down and bought a handbag that cost 10,000, he couldn't even come close to Chen Hao. Chen Hao was a VIP customer. He was just a regular customer. So he said, "Let us go." Liu Chen's dignity had been taken away. He gritted his teeth and dragged Yang Xia along as they left the shop reluctantly. At this moment, Zhang Ru bowed slightly at Chen Hao and apologized to him, "Mr. Chen, please accept my apology." She regretted her actions thoroughly, for he was clearly her VIP client. Chen Hao turned a blind eye toward her and smiled at Wang Xiaolin and said, "Miss, thanks for your help, but you don't need to wrap it up. I have business to deal with now. Goodbye." Feeling all the female students' longing gazes upon him for the first time in his life, Chen Hao walked embarrassingly down the stairs. This was the first time he had ever spent money so frivolously. Honestly, it wasn't that great. It did not get well with his personality. Only his sister would spend money so extravagantly. Chen Hao's only wish was to become an ordinary person who did not have to worry about such a huge sum of money. After walking out of the shop, Chen Hao's phone rang again. This time it was from Ma Zionan. Over the phone, he could hear Ma Zionan's anxious voice saying, "Listen, Chen Hao, I don't care what others think of you, but you are my best buddy. You have to come to my birthday party. Your dorm mates are here already." Chen Hao smiled, nodded his head and answered, "I am heading there right away." "Oh right, put some nice clothes on. Today I am going to introduce you to a young lady," Ma Zionan told Chen Hao. Chen Hao could do nothing but acquiesce it. He could not hold the handbag just like that. Chen Hao made his way to the nearby supermarket and bought a 2-cent worth of red-colored plastic bag to put the handbag in. He hurried up to catch a cab and made his way to Rui restaurant. At this moment, inside the private room of the restaurant, Ma Zionan hung up her phone and smiled at the gorgeous long-haired girl who was sitting next to her and said, "Yi Fun, Chen Hao is my best friend. He is a nice person and studies hard. When he arrives, I will introduce you to him. Yifan still had her headset on. She was sitting cross-legged on the chair, with her legs dangling. She looked very pretty and innocent. She answered, "Okay." Zhao Yifan and Ma Zionan were childhood friends. And they studied in the same college. However, they weren't in the same major program. It was Ma Zionan's birthday. She had invited both Zhao Yifan's and Chen Hao's dorm mates to attend her birthday party. It was like having a dorm mixer party. Ma Zionan knew that her gorgeous friend Zhao Yifan, who had been single throughout her high school years, was looking for a boyfriend. What a great chance for her two friends to meet. Zhao Yifan was drinking fruit juice when the door to the private room opened. Chapter 4 Birthday Present. As the door opened, they saw that it wasn't Chen Hao. "Su Nan, why are you here?" Ma Zionan was upset the moment she saw Su Nan. They were classmates. Ma Zionan had invited Su Nan before she knew of the incident between him and Chen Hao. After she heard, she personally called Su Nan and gave him a piece of her mind and told him not to come. She didn't expect that he would be this thick-skinned and show up anyway. What a piece of work! Ma Zionan, are you still mad? I was only messing with Chen Hao yesterday. I didn't know that he would take it so personally. Su Nan laughed heartily. Some of his roommates came too. They even brought gifts. Ma Zionan had a rich family too. She tried to help Chen Hao countless times, but Chen Hao refused to accept her help. Su Nan was Ma Zionan's classmate in high school. "Su Nan, when is this Chen Hao that you wanted me to meet going to get here?" Zhao Yifan's beautiful eyes furrowed slightly as she casually asked. As soon as Su Nan saw Zhao Yifan, his eyes gleamed. In fact, he had long wanted to be acquainted with Zhao Yifan, as she was the hottest girl in the college's broadcasting department. The truth came out immediately. Su Nan hadn't come to the party to make amends, he came to get with Zhao Yifan. When he heard what Yifan said, Su Nan immediately responded, "Oh, Yifan, Chen Hao is our classmate. He is quite a poor guy. You should have seen him yesterday, crying like a little bitch." Haha. The moment he recalled yesterday's incident whereby Chen Hao had sent directs to his ex-girlfriend to help her with her sex life, Su Nan almost laughed himself to death. He told her the entire story in a few words. "Shut your mouth!" Ma Zionan immediately flew into a rage and glared at Su Nan. Zhao Yifan and her beautiful roommates looked incredulous. They couldn't believe that there was such a poor and pathetic person who went to this college. Chen Hao's roommates looked embarrassed. Nothing good ever came out of Su Nan's filthy mouth. Okay. I won't talk about it anymore." Su Nan smiled broadly and said, "Su Nan, come and see the gift that I bought you." At this moment, there was a light knock on the door of the private room. Following that, the door opened. This time, Chen Hao entered with a red-colored plastic bag. "Chen Hao, here you are." Ma Zionan immediately stood up and smiled. Chen Hao nodded his head. He instantly noticed that Su Nan was sneering at him. In the past, he felt uncomfortable around trust fund babies, but now, he was the richest of all of them. He's Chen Hao, Prince of African Oil and Gold. Zhao Yifan also raised her eyes to look at Chen Hao. Zhao Yifan really wanted to get a boyfriend. His family might not need to be extremely wealthy. It was even fine for him to be a bit ordinary. However, he still needed to be at least good-looking. Although she thought Chen Hao was quite good-looking, his entire attire from top to bottom definitely did not exceed $150. He was extremely ordinary. Especially after hearing what Su Nan had said about him just now, her impression of Chen Hao had sunk to the bottom of the abyss. Zhao Yifan felt disappointed. Chen Hao, this is Yifan and these are her roommates. Let's get to know each other. Ma Zionan smiled and introduced them to each other. Chen Hao nodded his head. My name is Chen Hao, nice to meet you, Yifan. Chen Hao reached out his hand in a polite manner. However, Zhao Yifan did not even look at him. She merely turned her head and continued drinking her fruit juice. Chen Hao's hand dangled in mid-air, and he could only retract his hand back sheepishly. Ma Zionan knew that her best friend had always been this way. If she was attracted by someone, she would talk a little bit more. However, if she wasn't attracted by someone, then she said nothing. Chen Hao did not say anything. He was about to have a sit. At this moment, Su Nan's gaze fell on the red-colored plastic bag in Chen Hao's hands. He smirked in that instant. Well, Chen Hao, what gift did you bring for Xiao Nan's birthday? Why don't you take it out and let everyone have a look? Chen Hao's dorm leader could not stand that anymore. Su Nan, why do you always have something against Chen Hao? Su Nan laughed heartily. He always felt a sense of superiority when he ridiculed others. At that moment, he glanced coldly at Chen Hao and took out his gift first. It happened to be a black-colored bag of a famous brand. Xiao Nan, this is my gift to you, a Hermes bag. When Su Nan took out the bag, he instantly attracted the attention of Zhao Yifan and her beautiful roommates. A Hermes Lindy bag. The market price of this bag is 8,999, right? All the beautiful girls changed the way they looked at Su Nan immediately. This guy was just too generous. Even the aloof Zhao Yifan gave Su Nan a second look. It's not that expensive, my dad knows the district manager of Hermes very well. I bought it for 7,999 since we were acquainted with each other. Su Nan smiled and basked in the crowd's admiration. Ma Zionan really hated Su Nan, but she knew her place as host and still needed to show the proper gratitude. The Hermes Lindy bag is the latest luxury bag launched by Hermes. It is very popular in Hong Kong, Macau, and Taiwan. The price of this exact same model is at least 12,000 in those areas. Zhao Yifan gave the bag a glance as he spoke. Su Nan raised his eyebrows. Yifan, I did not know that you were so knowledgeable in luxury goods. Zhao Yifan looked at Su Nan and gave him a light smile. I wanted to buy this model but the price was a little bit too expensive. Su Nan immediately said, Yifan, I can give one to you as a present when you celebrate your birthday. 8,000 or 9,000 is nothing to me. In addition, the staff of Hermes store near the entrance of our school knows my family very well. Zhao Yifan remained silent and only smiled. She had never met Su Nan before, but she had heard rumors that he was a vagrant. But now, he was being a very magnanimous person. Zhao Yifan's impression of him improved a lot. After that, Chen Hao's dorm mates also presented their gifts respectively. Of course they weren't as expensive as Su Nan's luxury item, but it was still worth around 300 to 400. Chen Hao did not know what to say. He planned to give his present to Ma Zionan after the event. However, at this moment, Su Nan looked at the red-colored plastic bag in Chen Hao's hand and smiled evilly. He said, Chen Hao, I begged you to let us see your gift just now, so why don't you take it out? And show it to everybody now. Look at the plastic bag you're holding. See how festive it looks. Su Nan, shut your mouth up. Whatever Chen Hao gives me, I will be happy. Ma Zionan warned Su Nan again. However, Ma Zionan still cast a hopeful look in Chen Hao's direction. Chen Hao felt a little embarrassed. I thought that perhaps he should have waited the extra half an hour to have the lady wrap the bag properly. This was supposed to be a simple gathering. Why did Su Nan come and ruin it for everyone? Zionan, I bought you a bag. Chen Hao stood up and took the bag out from the red-colored plastic bag. Zhao Yifan's frowned tightly and her roommates also gave him a look of disdain. This person was such a loser and a disgrace. Wow! When Chen Hao took out the bag, Su Nan shouted, Hermes! Ha ha ha! Chen Hao bought a Hermes for her as a gift too. It is such a luxurious item. Chen Hao! Say it, where did you buy this bag? It must be quite expensive, right? Su Nan's words made all the girls laugh heartily. Zhao Yifan shook her head slightly. She initially thought that although Chen Hao was poor, at least he was a person with integrity. Honestly, she could see herself being friends with her. But now, Zhao Yifan really looked down upon Chen Hao. This is Hermes's 200 years anniversary collector's edition bag. There are only 200 pieces of these bags in the entire world. Each bag is worth at least $70,000. The moment Zhao Yifan saw it, she instantly recognized it. There are counterfeits sold online and they are priced at approximately 150. Even if you were a prideful loser, nobody would buy it to parade it around the streets. It is shameful to carry around this counterfeit high-end luxury product. Zhao Yifan treated him rudely. She looked at Chen Hao squarely. The person in front of her really made her feel gross. Ma Zionan thought that Chen Hao would buy her some small widget. She did not expect that he bought her a counterfeit item to impress her. But, Ma Zionan still said happily, Chen Hao, anyway, thank you for your gift. Next time you don't have to spend this kind of money anymore. It is still very expensive for 150. Chen Hao felt helpless. He wanted to say that this was the real thing. However, when he saw Zhao Yifan and her roommate's scornful gaze, he bet that even if he told them the truth, they would not believe him. And they would look down on him even further. At this moment, Zhao Yifan looked at Ma Zionan and said, Zionan, since when did you become friends with such a phony? Ma Zionan saw that Chen Hao would soon be placed in an embarrassing situation. Thus, she quickly changed the topic and said, well, it's my birthday today. We are all friends. Come on, let's toast to this occasion. Zhao Yifan and her roommates still looked at Chen Hao with disgust and did not react. Su Nan and his dorm mates were smirking. Chen Hao saw the awkward situation he had put Sun Ma in. He immediately got up and said, Happy birthday, Zionan. However, I suddenly reminded that I have something to do back in my dorm. I will go back first. Have fun. Chen Hao knew that he was unwanted. He got up to leave. Chen Hao. Chapter 5 Hot Spring Resort. Chen Hao walked out of the room. His best friends Yang Hui and Ma Zionan came after him. What are you doing? The present isn't the most important thing. Ma Zionan anxiously explained. Yang Hui added, Chen Hao, don't leave. Finish the meal before leaving. If you leave, there is no point for us to stay as well. Chen Hao smiled and replied, Enjoy yourself. Yang Hui, Zionan, I really have something to do. Just trust me. I am not lying to you. Chen Hao was not sure if they believed him or not, but he left anyway. It all came back to the card that his sister gave him. That shopping card, which had a minimum spending of $70,000, unexpectedly got him into trouble again. Despite Yang Hui and Ma Zionan's persistence, Chen Hao ultimately still left. Did that poor dude leave? Su Nan mocked Chen Hao again when Ma Zionan and Yang Hui came back to the room. Yang Hui rebutted, Su Nan, can't you stop bullying him? Stop taking advantage of the fact that he is an easy target. Why don't you pick on someone your own size? Yang Hui could not stand it anymore. Haha, he was the one asking for trouble. I'm not the one who bought a knockoff and tried to pass it off as a real bag to look cool. I mean, a Hermes limited edition anniversary bag. I will give him that, he has balls. Zhao Yifan shook her head. Chen Hao was walking on the streets aimlessly after he left. When Chen Hao had no money, all he had dreamed of was being rich. Now that he was rich, he didn't feel any better. On the contrary, he had just spent $70,000 but he did not even get to have a beverage at the party. To make it worse, people liked him even less. Chen Hao was thinking if he should look for a place to get a drink. Just then, his phone rang. It was from his sister Chen Xiao. Chen Hao picked up and answered, Sister. Chen Hao, what are you up to? I am not exactly doing anything right now. Then help your sister out. Chen Hao asked, What can I do? You've probably heard of Jinling Commercial Street, right? I invested and developed the street when I visited you 4 years ago. Right now, I need your help to sign the renewal contract on my behalf. I am unable to come over to do so myself. Since the development and investment are jointly owned by both of us, it would also work if you signed it. So go and help me sign the contract. Hello, Chen Hao, did you hear what I just said? Of course Chen Hao heard what she said. He was just completely stunned and bewildered. Jinling Commercial Street. At this point, their voices had become cold and indifferent. I am looking for Mr. Li Zhenqiu. He is the general manager. Of course, Chen Hao could see that they looked down on him. However, he still chose to tell the truth. The beautiful ladies glanced at each other. General Manager Li, they concluded that this poor dude had no idea who General Manager Li was. Did he think that the general manager was someone that one could randomly meet? They were also certain by then that this poor dude was here for a visit. After all, Hot Spring Resort was really too well known. The majority of the population could not enter as they could not afford it, and there was no way they would be allowed to enter. Despite the fact that they were horrified by Chen Hao's appearance, they still kept the air of politeness. Sir, if you wish to meet General Manager Li, you have to make an appointment. If you do not have an appointment, please leave right now. Chen Hao finally realized that these receptionists mistook him as someone who was here to swindle them. Just as he was considering calling his sister to help to notify Li Zhenqiu about his arrival, he heard someone speaking. Miss Zheng Yu, what are you all doing? Does Hot Spring Villa allow anyone and everyone into their premises? A young guy who was lavishly dressed with gelled hair walked into the villa. He was holding onto the hand of a flirtatiously dressed woman with heavy makeup. He threw a contemptuous glance at Chen Hao, then smiled at the lead receptionist. Shang Tian, I thought you said that this was the most luxurious location in Jinling City. Why is there still someone dressed like this here? The flirtatious-looking woman asked. This woman was as deep as a kiddie pool. The lead receptionist Zheng Yu apologized to him. I am truly sorry, Mr. Li. We will take care of this right away. Li Shangtian smirked, that's great. I am planning to invite a few friends from out of town later on. Our villa is a symbol of Jinling City. It should not be downgraded. I hope you don't get angry at me for babbling. My father and your general manager Li know each other and even shared a meal together. It was obvious that Li Shangtian had the utmost respect for General Manager Li from his tone. The lady in his arms was practically gushing upon realizing that he knew General Manager Li. She didn't know he had such a strong social network and that he even knew General Manager Li, who was such a big shot in Jinling City. Even the group of receptionists next to Zheng Yu was secretly flirting with him in hopes of garnering his attention. Zheng Yu nodded, "Yes, Mr. Li." She then turned around and gave a stern look at Chen Hao. "Please leave. Don't hold up our business or I will call security." "Fine. I will make a phone call first." Chen Hao took a deep breath and walked out. While walking out, he took out his phone. Damn! This guy sure knows how to pretend and show off. Acting like he is actually a big shot. Li Shangtian sneered. "Mr. Li, don't take it too seriously. This kind of issue happened quite often in Hot Spring Villa." Zhang Yu smiled apologetically. Li Shangtian nodded and said, "Miss Zheng Yu, would you do me a favor and come over to have some drinks with us after the arrival of my friends?" "Let's talk about that later, Mr. Li." Zheng Yu gave a reserved smile. Li Shangtian looked suggestively at Zheng Yu while nodding his head. He then took his wallet out and walked toward the front desk to check in. The group of beautiful receptionists looked adoringly at Zheng Yu and asked, "Zheng Yu, do you know Mr. Li?" Zheng Yu tidied up her hair and proudly replied, "Of course. Why else did we choose to work here as receptionists right out of graduation? It was because we can get to know more rich tycoons like Mr. Li." "Did you all recognize the flirtatious woman in his arms? She is a second-tier celebrity. Mr. Li's family is involved in real estate and his family's net worth is more than 2 billion. Wow! No wonder his father knows the big boss in Jinling Commercial Street, General Manager Li. I never knew he had such high status." The group of receptionists stared at the silhouette of Li Shangtian and they were infatuated with him. "Oh, speaking of General Manager Li, he is probably in a meeting with the leaders of Jinling City as well as the presidents of Jinling's Chamber of Commerce. That loser still dared to say he was looking for General Manager Li. This dude is such a joke." Zheng Yu scorned. She was smiling and getting ready to go over and make small talk with Li Shangtian. When she lifted her head up, she saw that the poor loser dude who was chased out had returned. "Why did you come back again?" Zheng Yu could not understand. The group of receptionists also looked at Chen Hao in disdain. Chapter 6 bumped into a familiar face. At that moment, inside the most luxurious room of the entire complex, a middle-aged man with arched eyebrows and superior presence was having a social gathering with a group of well-to-do people. He was none other than Li Zhenqiu, the general manager of Jinling Street, who was also a rich tycoon in Jinling. During the conversation, a strange thing occurred that caught everyone's attention. Mr. Li went out for a phone call and then suddenly he dashed out of the room. What is going on with Mr. Li? Everyone was clueless. In the meantime, Li Shangtian saw Chen Hao entering the front lobby. He could not help but step forward to assist Zheng Yu in resolving the matter. "Miss Zheng Yu, just call the security. There is no other way to settle issues with a barbarian." Li Shangtian gave a cold smile. Zheng Yu nodded and a few guards came rushing over to surround Chen Hao. "Stop right there!" At this moment, Li Zhenqiu had rushed to the reception lobby as quickly as he could. His voice stopped everyone in the vicinity. "General Manager Li." Zheng Yu and the others were quick to stand respectfully in front of him. Li Shangtian also respectfully said, "Hi Mr. Li, I am Li Shangtian and my dad is Li Jian. We met previously at the business banquet." Li Shangtian approached him hurriedly to greet him. To his surprise, Li Zhenqiu did not even cast him a glance. General Manager Li walked toward Chen Hao and stopped in front of him. He even pushed Zheng Yu and the others out of the way rudely. "Are you Chen Hao?" Li Zhenqiu asked respectfully. Chen Hao nodded. "Yes, I am. How is CEO Chen Xiao related to you?" "She is my sister," Chen Hao replied. Li Zhenqiu immediately stooped over and bowed to Chen Hao. "Hello, young Master Chen. I am Li Zhenqiu." "What the hell?" Everyone was beyond bewildered. Li Shangtian's eyelid even twitched. Why did General Manager Li bow to this bumpkin? Who was he? Chen Hao was also dazed. He knew that his sister was the CEO of this area. However, he did not expect that his sister had such reputation to the extent that the general manager would treat him this way. To be honest, Chen Hao was still not used to being a wealthy person or even used to being treated like a human being. Chen Hao lightly coughed. He then politely said, "General Manager Li, my sister asked me to come over and sign the contract." "Young Master Chen, it is a renewal contract. The entire Jiling commercial street including this villa is owned by you and the CEO. Half of businesses are under the CEO's name and the other half is under yours. I have always wanted to pay you a visit, but the CEO did not allow me to." Li Zhenqiu wiped off the sweat on his forehead. He was thrilled and greatly relaxed by Chen Hao's polite response. Zheng Yu, Li Shangtian, and the others were completely dumbfounded. What? This entire stretch of the street was owned by this guy's family. This shabby dude was actually the CEO of over half of the businesses in this area. Li Zhenqiu snorted. Who was the one that stopped young Master Chen from entering? Li Zhenqiu turned his head around and glanced coldly at the group of people in the reception lobby. CEO Chen Xiao was extremely special to him. The reason Li Zhenqiu got to where he was today was because of Chen Xiao promoting him to this position. The second CEO, her own brother, had arrived and he couldn't believe that he was nearly chased out and disrespected like that. If CEO Chen Xiao ever found out about this, he would be fired and thrown back to the bun store where he started. Zheng Yu's face turned red and she quickly kept her head low, not daring to speak. Li Shangtian, who was standing next to her, questioned, "Mr. Li, are you sure about this? This poor dude is the owner of the Jiling Street." Bam! Upon hearing those words, Li Zhenqiu slapped Li Shangtian across the face. "You bastard, what did you just say?" "Mr. Li, I didn't mean anything by it." After getting slapped, Li Shangtian covered his mouth and felt he had committed some great crime. However rich he thought he was, it was nothing compared to Li Zhenqiu. And Li Zhenqiu was bowing to the boy he had just insulted. "Throw this guy out of here!" Li Zhenqiu ordered the group of security guards. "Yes, sir." The group of security guards came up and surrounded Li Shangtian and the female celebrity accompanying him. They then shoved and chased the both of them out. Li Shangtian felt so ashamed. What happened today was humiliating beyond belief. But what could he do? He was just an ordinary multimillionaire. Chen Hao looked on and did not stop the guards from doing what they were doing. He did not expect that Li Zhenqiu, who looked honest and considerate, had such a strong character. If only I could be this domineering someday in the future, Chen Hao thought to himself. He followed Li Zhenqiu into the villa. Li Zhenqiu introduced himself. Chen Hao learned that a few years ago, Li Zhenqiu and his wife sold steamed buns in a small shop. His sister Chen Xiao was growing up in a poor household in their neighborhood. His sister was so poor that she had to resort to begging for food, and it was Li Zhenqiu and his wife who gave his sister her first job. After her sister starting making some money, she managed to collect some assets and cultivate them. After she had enough to form her own company, Li Zhenqiu was promoted and got to where he was today. No wonder Li Zhenqiu was so respectful toward his family. After finishing talking, Chen Hao proceeded to sign the documents. As mentioned by his sister, most of the shops in Jinling Commercial Street were registered under his name. Chen Hao would never have dreamt that he could be this powerful. After that, Li Zhenqiu prepared a banquet specifically for Chen Hao. Chen Hao was famished. It suddenly dawned on him that he hadn't eaten anything since this morning. As he was finishing up his meal, Li Zhenqiu smiled. "Young Master Chen, when you are done with your meal, you can visit all your different businesses around here." That was what CEO Chen Xiao said. This is to enable you to familiarize yourself with the businesses within your family. You can also learn how to conduct yourself as a rich businessman and not a poor beggar. As he said that, a quick idea flashed through his mind. "Young Master Chen, excuse me for a minute." He then walked out and made a phone call. He merely said, "All of you, come up here." Then he left and walked downstairs. Chen Xiao had no idea what General Manager Li was up to. Being famished, he gobbled down the big Australian steak on his plate. Just as he was enjoying his meal, the door of his private room suddenly opened. Then, Chen Hao saw 6 girls walk in. They turned out to be Zheng Yu and the other beautiful receptionists. This time around, they looked at Chen Hao differently. Zheng Yu smiled seductively. "Young Master Chen, I apologize for my actions before." "Young Master Chen, I am sorry." The other receptionists also apologized in perfect unison. "What are you all doing?" Chen Hao wiped his mouth clean. To be honest, even though they had been pretty cruel at the reception lobby earlier, Chen Hao had no intentions of taking revenge. He just wanted to help his sister as soon as possible and so then he could leave. But, by the look of their faces, Li Zhenqiu must have reprimanded them just now. They must have been told to make it up to Chen Hao. "We are here specifically to accompany you, Master Chen. As long as you accept our apology, we would do anything to please you," Zheng Yu said charmingly. Being the receptionists at Hot Spring Villa, they all had one ultimate motive: date a rich young man like him. That way, they could get married into a wealthy family. General Manager Li had intentionally arranged for them to come up and apologize, but it hadn't taken much to convince Zheng Yu and the others to do this. It didn't suck being rich. This young man in front of their eyes was a trust fund baby. An extremely wealthy trust fund baby. After understanding their intentions and their sudden change in attitude, Chen Hao was shocked. Damn, 6 of them, that was a lot of women in front of him. Chen Hao was in a daze. At this moment, Zheng Yu took out a remote and pressed the button towards the wall. Immediately, the wall began to move down and an indoor pool and a big water bed showed up. Then the receptionists, following Zheng Yu's lead, unfastened their dresses. Zheng Yu took off her upper outer garment, sat next to Chen Hao, and started softly rubbing him. Chen Hao felt lost. Just as Chen Hao was not able to control himself, his phone rang. It was from his sister. Chen Hao calmed down and said, "Ladies, I need to take care of this." Chen Hao rushed out of the room and the potential orgy. It turned out that his sister wanted to check with him about the status of the contract. She also told Chen Hao stop acting like the humble poor kid. He was a member of the rich elite and he needed to act like it. She talked about a bunch of things for a long time, most of which went over Chen Hao's head. After he hung up, Chen Hao smiled bitterly as he thought about what was happening in the room next to him and what to do next. Chen Hao was already 22 and was still a virgin. Seeing those beautiful women definitely tempted him. I mean, what a way to become a man, Chen Hao thought to himself. Although he used to date Yang Xia and he really loved her back then, he was also respectful toward her and never pushed her for sex. As he thought of Yang Xia, he winced as his heart was in pain. If Yang Xia knew that he was rich, would she come back to him? Chen Hao sighed. He recalled the various memories he had while he was with Yang Xia. They held hands in the canteen, the library, the park, and many other places. They hung out, joked around and even made out at all these places. Chen Hao's rising temptation cooled down. He couldn't lose his virginity like this. Chen Hao decided to leave the villa. He called Li Zhenqiu and told him that he was going to take a walk. After he left the villa, he walked to Jinling Commercial Street. The people walking up and down the street were all young rich people or bosses who were dressed up well. Chen Hao, you are not that poor boy anymore. You own this street. You are the Big Mac Daddy pimp. You never have to be afraid or intimidated by this people again. At this moment, he heard a voice that called out his name. Chen Hao. Chen Hao turned around and saw a karaoke bar named Imperial. In front of the entrance were Ma Zionan, Zhao Yifan, and the rest of the group. Su Nan and his dormitory mates were also there. Chen Hao, it really is you. Didn't you say that you were returning to the dormitory? Why are you here? You lied to me. Ma Zionan pretended to be angry and ran to Chen Hao upon seeing him. Chapter 7 Imperial KTV. Chen Hao scratched his head awkwardly. He was actually trying to avoid Ma Zionan and the others, especially Zhao Yifan, who seemed to hate him. He didn't want to meet them and get the cold shoulder. Su Nan suggested we come to Imperial KTV to hang out. If you ditch on us once again, we are no longer friends. Ma Zionan said jokingly. Ma Zionan was a really cool girl, and very little got to her. But, she could not comprehend the awkward situation Chen Hao was once in. She couldn't never understand how the differences in family background and money really affected people like Chen Hao when having to be with people who had money. Of course, this was no longer the case anymore, and in fact their situation had become reversed. Chen Hao was worth many times more than all of combined. Ma Zionan took Chen Hao's silence as consent. She said, "Let's go and have fun together. I know that you are afraid of Su Nan making fun of you. Don't worry, if he tries to bully you again, I'll have your back." Chen Hao smiled. If he rejected her, she would probably get really mad. Fine. He decided to join them and hang out together. Ma Zionan dragged Chen Hao to the entrance of the Imperial KTV. Chen Hao took a look and realized that this KTV was one of his properties. In the past, Chen Hao would not have dared to claim he could afford to treat them. However, the situation now has changed. He could have the entire place emptied at his command. Oh! Young Master Chen is here at Jinling Commercial Street. You come here often, do you? Do you know any fun places? Maybe you can show us around. Su Nan immediately started making fun of Chen Hao as soon as Chen started talking to his friends. Su Nan, shut up. Remember what I warned you about? Ma Zionan scolded. Su Nan gave a sly smile and said, "Okay, I know. I had nothing but good intentions. Just welcoming back to the group is all. After all, this is a place where all the rich people come to enjoy themselves. Just wanted him to remember his place." Zhao Yifan glanced at Chen Hao. She felt embarrassed to be near Chen Hao. Furthermore, with the crowd on the street coming and going, it made things worse. Would these people think they were friends, or even worse, going out to avoid this embarrassing situation? She quickly said, "Okay, let's get in." Su Nan, have you reserved a room? Yes, I asked my friend to reserve one for me. Normally by this time, the Imperial KTV wouldn't have any rooms left. Su Nan acted like the host and said, "Follow me." He led the way and the group followed him. It was Chen Hao's first time at a KTV. He couldn't believe how extravagant the interior was. The room that Su Nan chose was even better. There was a big comfy sofa, a private bathroom, a minibar, and even a huge fish tank that sparkled under the lights. Upon entering, the group of beautiful ladies took their seats on one end. Chen Hao sat with his dormitory mates on the other. "Start ordering songs," one of the girls finally said. The showboats finally had their time to shine on the mic and they took turns to sing. The others listened and talked to friends. The mood was lively. While the group of beautiful ladies were chit-chatting, Zhao Yifan was just sitting there crossing and shaking her silky leg. Suddenly, she opened her mouth and asked, "Is that a feng shui fish?" Chen Hao was bored and his interest was piqued by the feng shui fish in the fish tank. He stared at the fish. He remembered that he saw this type of fish in a book before. This fish was popular in Hong Kong and Taiwan. However, on a closer look this fish looked different from what he thought it would look like. Chen Hao talked to his roommate Yang Hui who was beside him. Yang Hui said, "This kind of feng shui fish is different from those commonly seen in Hong Kong. This fish was sent over from Malaysia and it is extremely valuable. This can only be found in the hands of powerful and wealthy families." Su Nan overheard Chen Hao and Yang Hui discussing the feng shui fish. He was the one that reserved this room and felt like the party's leader. He smiled and said, "Oh, young Master Chen, you cannot recognize this high-class feng shui fish. I thought you were so smart since you could identify high-class bags from Hermes." Zhao Yifan frowned when she heard the name Hermes being brought up again. She recalled what happened at Ma Zionan's party and the feeling of disgust fell over her again. Chen Hao was really just a low-class dude. Blondie, Su Nan's henchman, laughed and sneered. "Haha, is there a counterfeit equivalent of a feng shui fish? If there were, Chen Hao would find it. He would snatch the sucker right up. This type of fish is not only good for feng shui. In the south, it is also referred to as a prosperity fish. It is able to bring fortune to the family that owns it," Zhao Yifan added. "Oh, Yifan, you really are so well educated and knowledgeable. How did you know that?" Su Nan heard what Zhao Yifan said and gave her a thumbs up. "Of course. Yifan is a unique lady. Not like our bumfuck country boy over there." Zhao Yifan's friends and roommates burst out laughing. "This room is rather expensive, isn't it? Can your friend really afford it?" Zhao Yifan looked at Su Nan and she was slowly starting to warm up to him. She had an extremely good impression of Su Nan. If he could just act more like a man and not a little boy, Zhao Yifan would consider him as a potential boyfriend. "This room costs around $600 a night. Fortunately I have connections, if not, you would not have the opportunity to be in here regardless of your wealth." Su Nan proudly smiled. Then he suddenly thought of something that had slipped his mind. He smacked his head and said, "Oh right, if you had not reminded me I would have forgotten about this. I promised to tell my friend once I arrived." Su Nan made a phone call right after. Chen Hao sat by the side of the room and only talked to Yang Hui and the rest of them. Both sides remained separated. The original intention was to utilize this birthday celebration to build relationships between the different dormitories, particularly the boys and the girls. However, it was obvious that the only ones willing to even try to talk to the girls was Su Nan and his group of friends. Besides Su Nan, Blondie had already mingled well together with the girls from Zhao Yifan's dormitory. The door of the room suddenly opened. A guy dressed in a black suit and flashy leather shoes walked in. His skin was fair, he was tall and he looked very charismatic. "Ning Fan, you son of a bitch." Su Nan saw Ning Fan entering and immediately walked up to him. "Su Nan, how is it, are you satisfied with this room? Of course I am. Ning Fan can do anything. Su Nan grinned. Blondie and the rest of his group also politely greeted Ning Fan. Ning Fan looked around that room at all of the beautiful ladies. He paid extra attention and stared at them for quite a while, especially Zhao Yifan, who had good looks and was very elegant. The perfect girl to be the perfect girlfriend. Su Nan, why don't you shut your big mouth up for a second and introduce your friends to me? Oh, I forgot to introduce him to everyone. This is Ning Fan, my childhood friend. He is a student at the university next to ours. His family is involved in the food and beverage industry. The Minghuang restaurant on Jinling Street is owned by Ning Fan's family. The monthly income of the restaurant is around 10 million. We can get this room tonight because of him. Su Nan proudly introduced his friend. Upon hearing that, Zhao Yifan and the rest of her friends all looked up towards Ning Fan. Minghuang restaurant yummy. In order to be able to open a restaurant in Jinling Commercial Street, the restaurant had to be of the highest quality. Some of the restaurants even had Michelin stars. And they made truckloads of money. Zhao Yifan suddenly realized that she couldn't take her eyes off of Ning Fan. Haha, don't listen to Su Nan's nonsense. It is just a small family business. As for tonight, the manager knows my father. Thus, if anyone wants to come and hang out in the future, just let me know. Ning Fan coolly smiled and humbly shook his head. Ning Fan, do you have a girlfriend? A dorm mate of Zhao Yifan uncontrollably asked. Everyone burst into laughter. Ning Fan shook his head and smiled. He turned around and looked at Zhao Yifan. He smoothly said, "Hello, nice to meet you." "Hello." Zhao Yifan restrained her smile the best she could. Su Nan then started introducing everyone to Ning Fan. Toward the end, Su Nan looked at Chen Hao, who was sitting in the corner. Chen Hao had been quiet the whole night. He pointed at Chen Hao. "Ning Fan, that guy is Chen Hao." Ning Fan was just about to shake hands with Chen Hao. Upon hearing that, his eyes twitched. Oh, this is the guy that lost his girlfriend to Liu Chen, and he also helped to deliver condoms to Liu Chen just before getting down his ex. This is that Chen Hao. Chapter 8 Huge Indemnity. Su Nan sneered and said, "It's him." Ning Fan immediately took an interest. He was about to shake hands with Chen Hao, but pulled it back. Instead, he patted Chen Hao's shoulder. "So, you're the famous Chen Hao. I have seen your ex-girlfriend before. Yang Xia is quite pretty. I would like to apologize on behalf of my boy for stealing your girlfriend. By the way, if you come to Jinling Street next time, just say my name. You can get 30% off." Ning Fan said sincerely. It seemed that Ning Fan was really trying to be nice. "Ning Fan, it doesn't matter if he mentioned your name because this poor guy can't even afford anything on this commercial street." Several girls beside Zhao Yifan covered their mouths and laughed. "So that's the truth. Pardon me then. Liu Chen used to tell me that he had a crush on the girlfriend of a poor dude. I thought his girlfriend wasn't pretty, but when I visited your school that day, I saw that she was very beautiful. So, I didn't think you were him." Ning Fan laughed. "How is it possible?" Su Nan laughed. "Fan, when you told Liu Chen to ask the beautiful Yang Xia out, he spent only half an hour talking via WeChat to get Yang Xia to agree." At this moment, Chen Hao's roommate, Yang Hui, and the others, were already full of anger. Even Ma Zionan was angry. "What do you mean is being rich a big deal?" Yang Hui stood up and shouted. Ning Fan blinked. "My friend, you guys are right. It's not about money. In this day and age, whoever can give a woman the love she should have deserves to have her. Women don't need men to take care of them. Let this beauty Zhao Yifan decide whether I am right. Zhao Yifan had been paying attention to Ning Fan's temperament. Ning Fan handled things calmly and was really trying to be an even-handed leader. In addition, she was starting to like Chen Hao even less now. What a pussy, he can't defend himself at all. She nodded slightly. She had met Yang Xia before. She could see why Yang Xia would break up with him. A guy like Chen Hao was simply not good enough. Do you think the poor doesn't deserve happiness? Do you think that because you are rich, you can do whatever you want? Chen Hao, who had been enduring their taunts, stood up at once. His eyes were red and he clenched his fists. He looked at Ning Fan angrily. They always teased and mocked at him. At first, Chen Hao put up with it because today was Xiao Nan's birthday. But now, Chen Hao couldn't stand it anymore. Zhao Yifan looked at Chen Hao in disgust, not only because he was poor, but now because he was acting like a little bitch. He couldn't even take a few comments or stand up for himself like a man. Blondie was enraged. Chen Hao, what are you doing? How dare you talk in such a rude manner to Ning Fan in order to look good in front of Ning Fan? Blondie picked up a bottle and threw it at Chen Hao. This was not the first time he had tried to beat up Chen Hao. Sometimes he had succeeded, sometimes he had failed. Chen Hao, watch out! Yang Hui's eyes were sharp and he quickly pulled Chen Hao aside. The bottle made a curve and flew past Chen Hao's nose, barely missed it. The large feng shui fish aquarium outside the door shattered. Water gushed out. There were shards of glass everywhere and the fish was flopping on the ground. Blondie froze for a moment and his face turned pale. Even Su Nan's and Ning Fan's eyes twitched. Holy shit! This feng shui fish is really expensive. Su Nan stared at Blondie. There was a trance of fear in his voice. Blondie gulped. Come on guys. I didn't expect that Chen Hao could dodge it. I didn't do it on purpose. Blondie stared fiercely at Chen Hao after saying that. That's right, we can't blame Blondie. Chen Hao, what's the big deal with being hit? We would have compensated you. Why did you dodge or at least try to catch it like a man? The girls were terrified and they all blamed Chen Hao for starting it. What happened? At this time, the waiter who heard the noise came in with a group of security guards. They all saw the broken feng shui fish aquarium in the VIP room. The head of the security guard stared at everyone in the room. Effing hell, who did this? The guard was pissed. This feng shui fish was from Malaysia. It had symbolic importance or something, but most importantly it was very expensive. But now the tank was now broken and this all happened when he was on duty. The security guards were dumbfounded. Mr. Biao, it is a misunderstanding. I will go and talk to Mr. Fi Hung. Ning Fan took out a cigarette and gave it to the security leader. Zhang Biao reached an arm out to block his way. Well, young Master Ning, I don't care if it is a misunderstanding. You know the price of this feng shui fish aquarium. I can't help you with this matter. I have to contact the manager immediately. Zhang Biao immediately talked on his walkie-talkie. Shortly, a man in his 30s arrived with a group of men. He was the manager of Imperial KTV, Li Fihung. Mr. Fihung. Ning Fan smiled. Li Fihung looked at the mess. He immediately frowned. Fan, what are you doing? You made a mess in my place. Of course not, Mr. Fihung. One of my brothers accidentally smashed the feng shui aquarium. Ning Fan said politely. Although Mr. Fihung was just a manager of the KTV, everyone in Jinling Street knew him. He was once General Manager Li's assistant and was now one of his most trusted employees. Blondie gulped and took a step forward. Mr. Fi Hung, I was very angry just now, so I threw a bottle at him. The bottle smashed the Feng Shui fish aquarium because he dodged it. Blondie pointed at Chen Hao angrily. Fi Hung glanced at Blondie. In a flash, he kicked Blondie, picked up a bottle and hit his head. FCKU, you little maggot. You want to see angry? Ah! All the girls were terrified. What should we do about this? This Feng Shui fish aquarium hold this room together. The claim against damage is double the cost, which would be $80,000. But now, in honor of Fan's father, you just have to compensate for the original price, which is $40,000. You are lucky I am in a forgiving mood. After he said that, Li Fihung walked out with his hands in his pockets. He left 2 bodyguards to keep people from leaving the party. What should I do, Nan? Fan, I only have 1,000 with me. Blondie stood up, holding his bloodied head. Su Nan counted the notes in his wallet. One only have 20,00 with me. Damn, that's my pocket money for next month. Ma Zionan was very pissed off. Her birthday had just been ruined. There was no reason for her to stay out of it. She volunteered. I still have around 5,000. Everyone in the room gathered their money. Even Zhao Yifan decided to cough up more than 5,000. But even all together, they could barely scrape together 100,000. You'll try to think of a solution. I'll go to Mr. Fihung and ask if he can let it slide. Ning Fan said, and then he slipped out. Let it slide? You're right. Fihung wasn't the type of guys to let things slide when it came to money. The people in the room were inscrewed. I shouldn't have celebrated my birthday. I will just call my dad. Ma Zionan said anxiously. Zhao Yifan stopped her. Zionan, why should you be the one to fork out the money? The one who started this mess should bear the main responsibility. She then fixed her gaze at Chen Hao. Chen Hao, Blondie wouldn't have hit you if it wasn't because of your rude attitude toward Ning Fan. Where is your temper now? Zhao Yifan said coldly. That's right. All the girls nodded in agreement. Ma Zionan said anxiously, I beg all of you, please don't blame it on Chen Hao. All of you don't have to pay for it. It's my birthday, so I will pay for it. Ma Zionan started calling her family. Yang Hui and his dorm mates really wanted to help, but their living expenses were only around 1,000 per month. They just could afford to help. Chen Hao was extremely angry now, especially at Ning Fan, Su Nan, and Blondie. However, Chen Hao couldn't bear to see Ma Zionan like this. Although this shop belonged to him, Li Fihung didn't know him yet. It was inconvenient for Chen Hao to call Li Zhenqiu in the room. He said softly, I'm going to the washroom. Chen Hao left after that. After Chen Hao left, Zhao Yifan and the other girls' eyes widened. Oh my god! I had never seen such a coward in my life. He is even worse than a girl. He just ran away like that, Zhao Yifan said. As for Chen Hao, he had reached the washroom. The security guard didn't care to stop him because he was just one guy. Inside the washroom, he called Li Zhenqiu, Mr. Zhenqiu. Young Master Chen. Just call me Zhenqiu, how can I help you? I'm in trouble here. Chapter 9 Someone else helped us. Chen Hao retold the incident. Li Zhenqiu promised to settle the incident immediately. Zhenqiu, do you know a person named Ning Fan? His family runs a restaurant on the Jiling Street. Zhenqiu described a nice, hard-working family that worked its way from the bottom. Ning Fan wasn't a bad person at all. Chen Hao frowned, why couldn't Ning Fan just be a jerk? After all, Ning Fan was the one who purposely persuaded Liu Chen and Su Nan to snatch Yang Xia away from him, and he did play him like a fool. Chen Hao wondered what would happen if Ning Fan and his gang became poor one day. His dad is one of my employees. That restaurant business is actually under your property. Did he offend you? Li Zhenqiu asked seriously. After a while, Li Zhenqiu said, I know what to do, Mr. Chen. Leave it to me. Chen Hao remained silent. He didn't know what Li Zhenqiu had planned. Chen Hao actually had no idea what he wanted as well. This was the first time Chen Hao could use his connections to help others. Although he hated them, he wanted to work things out for the others. Chen Hao didn't want to think about it. After he pocketed his phone, he left the washroom and made his way back to the room. However, something unthinkable was about to happen in the room. Just a few moments ago, Zhao Yifan and Ma Zionan were calling their friends and families for help. Then, Li Fiheng dashed into the room. He bowed to everyone in the room, looking extremely apologetic. There was no need for them to compensate for the damages of the Feng Shui fish aquarium anymore. Everyone was dumbfounded, until they saw Ning Fan enter the room. Ning Fan, have you settled the incident? The girls asked with full of admiration. Ning Fan was puzzled. He was actually trying to get the hell out of there, but when he saw Li Fiheng rushing into the room, he followed him. He had no idea that the problem had solved itself. Ning Fan took the opportunity. He smiled and said, Mr. Fiheng and my dad are friends after all. Wow, Ning Fan, you are the best. Ning Fan, you're so cool. The bevy of beauties had all become his fans, cheering for him. Zhao Yifan now could only look at Ning Fan. She was totally smitten by him. He was one of the business owners on Jinling Street. Surely, he received a lot of respect, and so would she if she dated him. Suddenly, the door of the room opened and Chen Hao entered. The girls stared at Chen Hao and scoffed, this coward is back once the problem has been solved. Disgust was written all over Zhao Yifan's face. Zionan, I wonder why you are friends with this person. Zhao Yifan sneered coldly. Only then did Chen Hao realize that Li Zhenqiu was so efficient that he had already settled everything. Of course it had been settled quickly. It was his property. However, looking at the gaze from the crowd, Chen Hao quickly understood that they thought it was Ning Fan who solved it. Should he explain what happened to them? Chen Hao didn't think there was a need for him to do so. He had initially thought that Zhao Yifan was quite good looking, but now, he had no interest in her at all. This time, he only wanted to help Ma Zionan. Also, who would believe his story? Chen Hao didn't want to put himself in another humiliating situation. Let us forget it. Since everything is square, let's go for another round. My treat. Ning Fan still didn't know what happened and continued to brag, clapping his hands. He looked at Zhao Yifan and the pretty girls beside her. Sure. Let's go. The girls agreed happily, and Zhao Yifan smiled shyly. Compared to Su Nan, she thought Ning Fan was not only handsome, but also mature and reliable. She also learned how important it was to have connections and a solid network. Ning Fan had an amazing network. But Ma Zionan's face darkened. Another round. It's almost 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Let's go home. After the incident, her mood was completely ruined. Yang Hui nodded. Yes. We are heading home too. Enjoy yourselves. Chen Hao's friends left the party a little disappointed. They thought they could make friends with the pretty girls in Zhao Yifan's dormitory on Ma Zionan's birthday party. Maybe even get a little action. But now, it was obvious that Chen Hao and his dorm mates' presence were unwanted. Well, fine. The place that we're going to next isn't a place that you can simply enter. I can't bring too many of you at once. It's better that you don't want to join. Ning Fan said coldly while glancing at Yang Hui and Chen Hao. Where are we going to? Are we going to your family's hotel? The girls raised their heads and asked. Ning Fan wagged his finger. No. We're going to Hot Spring Villa. Have you heard of this place before? The Hot Spring Villa. Zhao Yifan blinked her eyes in disbelief. Do you mean the most popular place on Jinlin Street? The spa where only the richest can go. Zhao Yifan was from a decently wealthy family as well, and her father was able to bring her there once through a connection with a wealthy relative. She never thought that Ning Fan had such privilege that he could go whenever he wanted. Ladies, I'm going to bring my car. Wait for me at the entrance. Ning Fan waved to them and left. Zhao Yifan's beauty really took Ning Fan's breath away. Ning Fan couldn't wait to get with this girl. He knew that his money would be more than enough to get her into bed. Zionan, don't be such a killjoy. Come and join us. It's your birthday after all. Didn't you say that you have always wanted to go to the Hot Spring Villa? This is a golden opportunity. Zhao Yifan clung to Ma Zionan's arm. That's right. We have never been to the Hot Spring Villa too. Let's go together. We got this chance because of you. Don't worry, Ning Fan is with us. He will look after us no matter what happens on this street. You saw for yourself, Su Nan said with a hopeful smile. But Ma Zionan frowned. I don't understand. Zhao Yifan, don't you feel strange about what happened just now? Zhao Yifan frowned slightly. What do you mean? Are you talking about the fish thing? Yes. Ma Zionan continued in disbelief. Li Fiheng was so angry and dismissive in the beginning. He didn't show any courtesy to Ning Fan, and even Ning Fan was terrified by Li Fiheng. But 10 minutes later, Li Fiheng's attitude toward us changed thoroughly. He even came to apologize and bow to us. Don't you find it strange? After hearing to Ma Zionan, everyone in the room remained silent. Yang Hui said, You're right. I find it strange as well. Li Fiheng is not a man to be trifled with. Ning Fan's father and him are on the same level financially. It's impossible that he would change his attitude in such a short amount of time. He even bowed to us. Do you mean someone else helped us? Ma Zionan's argument really started to make sense. Zhao Yifan felt that it was weird as well. But, she quickly forgot everything when she saw Ning Fan again. Chapter 10 Yang Xia's phone call. Well, who could it have been on Jinling Street, other than Fan Ning? Who else has that kind of clout? At this moment, Su Nan laughed coldly. Yang Hui tried to focus on his breathing. I did not say that it was me. I merely stated my doubts. Just now Zionan, Yifan, and Yifan's dorm mates all made phone calls to their friends. My point is probably someone helped us and we did not thank him. You've got a point there. Zhao Yifan's facial expression looked grim. How about this? Everybody check the calls that you have made. Let's see whether it was Ning Fan or one of your friends who helped us out. Zhao Yifan had just called Ning Fan by his name for the first time. Everybody started phoning their friends to confirm. Chen Hao stood aside and watched them awkwardly. Should he tell them the truth? While Chen Hao was still lost in his thoughts, everybody had finished confirming with their friends. The fact was that none of their friends actually had the ability to solve this problem. Well, I was right. Ning Fan is just that awesome, I guess. Su Nan coldly glared at Yang Hui and the others. Okay, let's not play the guessing game anymore. Ning Fan is waiting for us at the entrance. Let's not make him wait too long. Zhao Yifan shot a glance at Yang Hui and Chen Hao. Her heart was filled with contempt. How could these two losers second-guess a great guy like Ning Fan? They were just jealous because they could never compare. Zhao Yifan and the rest of the girls left for the entrance. Sure enough, Ning Fan and his friends were waiting outside the entrance with a fleet of luxury cars. Zionan, are you coming or not? Zhao Yifan took Ma Zionan's hands. Yifan, I really don't want to go. I'll go next time when I have the chance. Ma Zionan was a straightforward person. She had always felt that Ning Fan was a phony and didn't like him at all. When Zhao Yifan saw that her friend could not be persuaded, she said goodbye and went off with the other girls. After they left, Chen Hao gave Ma Zionan and Yang Hui a glance. Both of them looked very disappointed. He could see that they really wanted to visit Hot Spring Villa. However, because of him, Yang Hui and Ma Zionan were ridiculed by Ning Fan and left out of the fun. Chen Hao quietly noted this down. He smiled to himself. He couldn't wait to see the look on their faces when he brought them there. Half an hour later, Ning Fan and the rest of the fleet stopped in front of Hot Spring Villa's entrance. One after another, Zhao Yifan and her friends got out of the car. Stop there, you guys are not allowed to go in. To their surprise, before they could even step foot in the lobby, they were stopped by a few well-trained security guards in black suits. Ning Fan said, Mr. Li, I am Ning Fan. Don't you recognize me? My dad is Ning Qiang. I am bringing my friends over to hang out. Ning Fan had one hand in his pocket and was smiling at the guards. He looked like a kid who had it all and knew it. Ha, ha! Young Master Ning, you are such a free spirit. You still can only think about having fun, even after what happened to your family. Putting aside the fact that you were not allowed to enter the villa today, I am afraid that from now on, you wouldn't want to come back even if we let you. Some of the security guards sniggered. They were looking at the pretentious Ning Fan with disdain and sympathy for the humiliation that he was about to go through. Zhao Yifan and the rest of the girls were looking at each other in confusion. This was the first time Ning Fan was looked down upon by other people. And these people were security guards. Su Nans chimed in, this is Ning Fan, also known as Young Master Ning. Ming Huang Restaurant on Jiling Street. It belongs to his family. Ha, ha, I know. However, we should say that it belonged to his family. Young Master Ning, I am afraid you don't know this yet, do you? From today onwards, Ming Huang Restaurant is not owned by your family anymore. In addition, all the other businesses owned by your family have declared bankruptcy. Your father Ning Qiang should have his hands full now dealing with the cops, the people from the Better Business Bureau and the banks. The guards crossed their arms while laughing as they told him the story. Ning Fan gulped. No way, you guys are lying to me. As he was speaking, he took out his mobile phone hurriedly and dialed his father's number. Only after dialing a few times did his father pick up. Listening to the tumultuous sounds in the background, Ning Fan asked his father what had happened. After a brief moment, Ning Fan's face turned pale. It was completely drained of color. No way! No way! How could this be? After he finished listening to his father's words, Ning Fan's mobile phone dropped to the ground. All the stores owned by his family were closed down because his father had violated the law. All their bank accounts were frozen too. In other words, Ning Fan had lost everything within an hour. Zhao Yifan and the rest of the girls obviously did not expect this to happen. They were standing at the side awkwardly. Impossible, this is absolutely impossible. Ning Fan sat down on the ground. Both his eyes looked empty. So now, he was a poor dude. When Zhao Yifan saw how Ning Fan handled the situation, she felt really disappointed. She thought that she had found somebody qualified to be her boyfriend, but now it seemed she had judged him wrong. Su Nan, isn't your father acquainted with the people in the upper management? Could you contact him and see whether he can figure something out for my family? Ning Fan gulped again. He was so shocked when he heard the bad news that he completely ran out of ideas. Damn it, what can my family do for you? Su Nan waved his hands. Fan, I think you should hurry home to see your father. No wonder my father said that your father would end up in jail one day if he continued running his businesses like that. Yifan, what should we do? All the girls had no idea. They were looking forward to experiencing the villa, but who could have guesses that this would happen? Since we can't help much by staying here, I think we should go back. After saying that, Zhao Yifan and others immediately grabbed some cabs and left. Li Zhenqiu watched everything happen from the penthouse in his villa. After that, he made a call. CEO Chen, young Master Chen only said to take back the Ning family's investments in Jinling Street. However, now, you have bankrupted his family and ruined their reputation forever. They will never be able to hold their heads high again after this. Ha, ha, my younger brother is just too soft-hearted. This is not the way we handle things in the Chen family. If he goes too easy on our enemies, I will be worried when he takes over the Chen family. Li Zhenqiu, I give you a new assignment. Please train my younger brother to become a member of the Chen family. Make him into the man we need. Li Zhenqiu nodded his head respectfully. It was Chen Xiao who had arranged everything. The power that the Chen family exerted was hard to imagine. It was literally impossible for one person to spend even a small fraction of the Chen family fortune in a lifetime, even if that person spent it without any forethought or care. The Chen family was one of the richest families in the world, and it was time Chen Hao learned how to wield that power correctly. He could no longer be the down-to-earth humble guy that he was. At this moment, Chen Hao, Ma Zionan, and the rest of the gang had returned to their respective dormitories. Yang Hui and others were a little unhappy and decided to spend the rest of the night at the internet cafe. They initially wanted to ask Chen Hao to come along to play with them. Chen Hao liked this game, but he never had the money to go to an internet cafe as he could barely pay for his meals. He only scrolled through the internet forums and read some articles. Plus, Chen Hao currently felt tired and wanted to rest. However, the moment he lay down on his bed, his mobile phone rang. The moment he saw the number, Chen Hao felt perplexed. Yang Xia was calling him. Chen Hao immediately answered the call. Chen Hao, what took you so long? What were you doing? Chen Hao could hear Yang Xia's anger through the phone. When he heard her voice, Chen Hao thought of their past. They used to call each other like this all the time. What do you want? Chen Hao said coldly. I have something to tell you. I will be waiting for you at the campus lakeside. You'd better be here in 10 minutes. If you don't get here by then, I will jump into the lake and drown myself. Chapter 11 How did you suddenly become rich? Chen Hao understood she was just looking for an excuse to see him. In reality, Chen Hao did not want to see Yang Xia anymore. His heart was completely crushed by the girl whom he had loved with all his heart. Although it would be a lie to say that he did not have any feelings for her anymore. After listening to Yang Xia's voice, Chen Hao's heart softened and he agreed to meet her. He got up and went to his drawer to find the precious picture which he had kept so carefully. It was a photo of them by the campus lakeside. Yang Xia was holding his arms affectionately and he was smiling sweetly. Looking at their relationship now, he felt a stabbing pain in his heart. At this moment, Chen Hao noticed the 100,000 that he had withdrawn from the bank this morning. The reason he withdrew the money was so that he could embark on a reckless spending spree. However, looking back now, he felt that his actions were too childish. He did not need the cash. He could get away with anything just by using the cards his sister gave him. It wasn't wise to put so much money in their dormitory. If the dorm leader and his roommates saw it, how would he explain himself these past few years? He had gotten to know many sincere friends due to his poverty. Now, if he were to tell them the truth, Chen Hao felt that he would lose something. I will go and meet Yang Xia and deposit the cash into the bank on my way back. Sigh. Chen Hao couldn't find a bag as he was in a hurry, so he took out a black-colored plastic bag from his dormitory and put the money inside. Then, he took Yang Xia's photo and headed downstairs. At the campus lakeside. Hao, over here. As soon as she spotted Chen Hao, Yang Xia stood on her tiptoes and waved at him, just like when they were in a relationship back then. In fact, the person who felt the most unhappy today was Yang Xia. Because Chen Hao bought a bag that was worth 360,000 without blinking this morning. 360,000. How long would an ordinary person need to work in order to afford that, especially since he became so rich after she dumped him recently? She felt unhappy just thinking about it. Hence, she used the photo as an excuse to see Chen Hao. What's the matter? His memories came rushing back to him at the sight of the familiar place. He felt sad, but when he saw Yang Xia, his heart softened. Yang Xia looked at the black-colored rubbish bag that Chen Hao was holding. She instantly said, "At least bring something for me when you come to see me." Yang Xia was a little disappointed. She was still fantasizing a scene whereby Chen Hao would stand in front of her with a 360,000 bag and begged her to come back to him. However, to her dismay, he was only planning to take out the trash. Chen Hao took out the photo. "Yang Xia, I will return this photo to you. From today onward, it is over between us." Chen Hao initially wanted to keep the photo as a memento. But now, there was no need for it anymore. On the other hand, Yang Xia was anxious. She stomped her feet fiercely and pounded his chest. "You idiot! You are really an idiot! Humph! Did you really think that I called you down here to take a photo from you?" Chen Hao pretended to look surprised. "Then why did you call me?" "Well, how should I put this? How, did you honestly think that something was going on between me and Lu Chen?" Yang Xia questioned. "You fool, all these were actually just a test for you." "A test?" Chen Hao smiled bitterly in his heart. "You ran into the woods and he groped you until you were moaning. In the end, this was all just a test for me." Chen Hao did not wish to say anything anymore. "Do whatever you want, I have already returned the photo to you. From this day forward, we do not owe each other anymore. Farewell." Chen Hao shook his head and turned to leave. You, Chen Hao, you better stop there. If you do not stop, I will jump into the lake." Yang Xia did not expect that Chen Hao, who used to listen to her and put her feelings first, had become so indifferent. She made up her mind resolutely and stepped closer to the lake. Chen Hao knew she was going to lie to him again. Initially, he couldn't care less and wanted to walk away. However, he saw Yang Xia's figure leaning forward and it looked like she was about to fall into the lake. Chen Hao's eyelids twitched violently. He hurried over and hugged Yang Xia. Tears started to fill her eyes. Don't stop me. If you don't believe me, then just let me die. Let me die. Chen Hao took a deep breath. Honestly, he did not believe in Yang Xia anymore. Especially after he heard the entire story from Ning Fan today. However, Yang Xia wanted to drown herself, and this time it was for real. Chen Hao was speechless, but he was touched at the same time. He immediately said, "Okay, okay. I believe you." Only then did Yang Xia's tears turn into a smile. "I knew it. How, you still love me? The reason I jumped was not because of the bag you purchased today or your financial status. I just wanted to prove that my love for you was real. From the beginning till the end, one have never been a gold digger, or else we wouldn't have been together for so long." Chen Hao did not say anything. At this moment, Yang Xia looked at Chen Hao suspiciously. "By the way, Hao, I am very curious. How did you suddenly become so rich you even bought a 360,000 bag?" Yang Xia could not help but ask. Chen Hao knew that she would definitely ask this question. But now, Chen Hao was not the same person who would tell Yang Xia everything anymore. At the same time, Chen Hao wanted to give her a test. "Oh, it's like this. I saved a little girl who was hit by a car on the street a few days ago, and unexpectedly, the little girl's family was very wealthy. However, because I was rushing on that day, they gave me a one-time shopping card. They said it was very valuable and expressed their gratitude." Yang Xia rolled her eyes. "So in other words, that VIP shopping card can only be used once, then it cannot be used anymore?" Chen Hao nodded his head. The. What about that bag? If you were to sell the bag, it would certainly be worth a lot of money." Yang Xia was slightly disappointed. She really thought that Chen Hao had become rich overnight. But the 360,000 bag was still sitting there. Chen Hao said, "I already gave the bag to Ma Zionan as a birthday present." "What?" Yang Xia was shocked. "You gave away a 360,000 bag to another person? Do you mean to say that you have literally nothing right now?" Chen Hao nodded his head. "Xia, I did not expect you to have so little interest in money. Besides, you truly do love me. Xia, why don't we?" Chen Hao reached out to hold her hand. Slap. "Fuck off, get away from me. Who would fall in love with a poor loser like you?" After she found out what she wanted to know, Yang Xia gave Chen Hao a slap in the face. "Fuck, I wasted so much time and I nearly jumped into the lake. Idiot, you stupid idiot." Yang Xia shouted at him in disdain. "Ha, ha." Seeing Yang Xia act this way, Chen Hao completely gave up on her. So, this was her true personality. "Xia, I am utterly disappointed in you." His eyes started to swim in tears. They had some good times together. "I don't care whether a poor loser like you is disappointed or not. Don't waste my time. Get lost, you fucking bastard. People like you should go pick up the trash." In order to release her anger, Yang Xia grabbed the rubbish bag he was holding. She wanted to fling it at his face. As a result of her actions, 100,000 worth of cash was flung out. All the banknotes were red in color. "Ah, what's this?" Yang Xia's eyes grew wide as she stared in disbelief at the scene before her. Chapter 12. The bag is real. Yang Xia saw the money that was spilled all over the floor. She was instantly dumbfounded. Never in her wildest dreams did she imagine that there was a stack of cash in the rubbish bag he was carrying. "Well..." Yang Xia's face was burning. "Chen Hao, where did you get this money from?" Chen Hao didn't answer her. He merely squatted down and gathered the 100,000 into his bag. Why do you care? Just like you said, I am not good enough for you. After uttering those words, Chen Hao turned on his heels and left. Yang Xia was feeling very impatient. She had indeed broken up with Chen Hao because he was poor. Even if he used his one-time shopping card to buy a bag as a gift for someone else, Yang Xia could still turn a blind eye to it, although she felt that it was such a shame. She still wouldn't regret her decision. But now, Chen Hao actually had 100,000 in cash. Chen Hao, you better stop right there. You better give me an explanation right now or else I will scream. Yang Xia was stamping her feet anxiously. She needed to make sure of it. She did not know why, but she was particularly afraid that Chen Hao would turn out to be a rich guy. She was especially afraid. Scream, haha. Chen Hao smiled bitterly. Do what you want then. Somebody help. Rape, rape. Yang Xia actually screamed at the top of her lungs. It was late, but a lot of couples could still be seen strolling in the campus gardens. When they heard the commotion, all of them looked to the direction of the lake. Damn it! Chen Hao cursed under his breath. He did not expect Yang Xia to call him a rapist. Yang Xia, what do you want? I surrender. Okay. Chen Hao immediately walked back to her to shut her up. Chen Hao, tell me about the 100,000. You must tell me. Yang Xia frowned. At this moment, Chen Hao had given up all hope on this woman. He didn't want to have anything to do with her at all. So why don't he continue to make up a lie to make her give up completely? Oh, I am going to return this 100,000. Remember the girl I had rescued previously? Other than giving me that super valuable card, they also gave main 10000. However, they accidentally transferred too much money to me. They actually gave me 100,000. So, I am planning to give them the extra 90,000. Back. Chen Hao answered with a sincere-looking face. Yang Xia finally understood. Number 1, Chen Hao didn't really know how to tell a lie. Number 2, if Chen Hao was really the person that she guessed he was, for example, a person who became rich overnight, then why would he still be dressed like that? He did not have the look of a nouveau riche at all. Besides, after listening to Chen Hao's explanation, everything seemed very logical. I understand. In other words, other than the 10,000, you do not have anything else. Yang Xia took a deep breath and finally relaxed. If there's nothing else, then LD better get going first. After uttering those words, Chen Hao took his 100,000 and left. Humph, a poor loser will always be a poor loser. It's still better to go back to Chen. Yang Xia looked at Chen Hao's retreating figure with disdain and left angrily. After Chen Hao finished depositing his money, he still felt disappointed. Yang Xia had changed. Her change was so drastic that he could not recognize her anymore. Yang Xia, Yang Xia. If you really didn't care about that bag or the money I had, even if you continued pretending, I would have agreed to your demands. Currently, not only do I have this 100,000, I actually have countless of 100,000 under my name. After sighing, Chen Hao prepared to go back. At this moment, his mobile phone rang. It was Ma Zionan. Chen Hao, do you want to eat some cake? If you want to, wait at the stairs by the girls' dormitory, I will deliver it to you. Ma Zionan had always been concerned about him. Put it this way, Ma Zionan and Chen Hao were desk mates. In addition to that, Ma Zionan felt happy and relaxed when interacting with Chen Hao. She could even confide in him. He was different from the other guys, whose ultimate purpose for approaching a girl was to get her into bed with them. She felt disgusted just thinking about it. Cake, I'm sorry, but not this time. Chen Hao smiled as he uttered those words. He really cherished his friendship with his one and only female friend. Okay, okay. No matter what happened today, Chen Hao, we will always be best friends. I really like the bag you bought for me today. Both of them chatted a bit longer. Finally, Ma Zionan hung up the call. At this moment, a bunch of friends were at Ma Zionan's dormitory. Zionan, why do you treat him so well? Yifan, I know you look down upon Chen Hao, but believe me, he's not the kind of person you think he is. Zhao Yifan was there too. The person who had the foulest mood today was none other than Zhao Yifan. She initially wanted to find a suitable guy to get to know each other. In the end, she ended up meeting Chen Hao, who was practically a loser. Then she met the jerk, Ning Fan, whose success was just a flash in the pan. She recalled the embarrassing situation at the villa whereby she was stopped by security and eventually denied entry. Oh my god, it's so infuriating. She felt that her bad luck started ever since she met Chen Hao. Hence, at that moment, she really looked down on Chen Hao. And this bag? Even if I ignored the fact that he bought a counterfeit, I still think that Chen Hao is a disgusting person. Zhao Yifan looked at Ma Zionan, who was still holding the counterfeit bag as if it was her treasured item. She was so angry that she grabbed the bag and flung it into the trash can nearby. Ma Zionan wanted to pick it up. Zionan, happy birthday! The dormitory doors burst open and some of her best sisters from the next dormitory came in with a big cake. Oh my god, see you! You guys are here! Ma Zionan quickly greeted them. Yang Xia, who was Siyu's roommate, also arrived with Siyu. When she saw Yang Xia, Ma Zionan smiled and greeted her, although she barely talked to her anymore because of Chen Hao. Hey! Zionan, did you receive too many gifts? Why don't you want this anymore? How could you throw away such a nice looking bag into the trash can? Oh my god, it's actually a Hermes bag. Han Siyu jokingly said. Han Siyu was an absolutely stunning lady. Zhao Yifan and Han Siyu were said to be the two most beautiful girls in the entire dormitory. When Zhao Yifan saw Han Siyu, whose disposition was on par with her, she couldn't help but feel competitive. Humph! So what if it's a Hermes bag? It's just a counterfeit item that was bought by a poor loser. I feel disgusted just by looking at it. Zhao Yifan frowned. Yang Xia was standing beside Han Siyu. When she saw the bag, her expression changed instantly. She naturally recognized the bag as the one that Chen Hao bought for 360,000 in the morning. She felt queasy when she saw the bag. Counterfeit. Han Siyu picked up the bag and looked at it carefully. A moment later, she suddenly looked surprised and quickly turned the bag inside out. This doesn't look like a counterfeit item, it's the real deal. The real deal. All the girls in the entire room were suddenly filled with surprise. How could this be? How could that poor loser Chen Hao afford to buy this? Humph! This bag is the classic edition, and the market price is at least 300,000. Zhao Yifan refused to back down. She did not know why, but the moment Han Siyu said it was the real deal, Zhao Yifan's heart suddenly skipped a beat. This is the real deal. I've seen and touched the real one before. It's hard for the counterfeit manufacturers to replicate the feel of the bag. The Hermes luxury brand shop in front of our school's entrance has this model. I happen to have the manager's number. If you guys still don't believe me, we can ask her to help us look it up and see whether the collector's edition was sold or not. Han Siyu held the bag like it was a precious item. After listening to her words, all the girls' mouths were wide open. With those words, Han Siyu was about to give the manager a call. You don't have to call anymore. At this moment, Yang Xia stood up frowning. To be honest, if the situation didn't call for it, she would not have told them the truth because Chen Hao actually gave away the most expensive thing he bought, which was worth 360,000, to someone else other than her. But since Han Ziyu wanted to give them a call, then she would tell them directly. This bag is the real deal. This morning when Chen Hao bought the bag, Lu Chen and I were present, he actually paid 360,000 on the spot. What? Bam! The entire dormitory instantly froze. Chapter 13 Mocked. Yang Xia told the girls in the room what she had encountered this morning. So it's actually true. A 360,000 bag. Oh my god! That poor bastard Chen Hao had always relied on the subsidy issued by our department to help cover his living expenses. I did not expect him to get a shopping cart like that. How lucky could he be? Damn, if Chen Hao gave me this bag, I would be willing to sleep with him for one night. One night only. If Chen Hao gave me this 360,000 bag, I would be willing to have sex with him for an entire month. Oh my god, this is so embarrassing. Although everybody knew that Chen Hao's card was only a single-use card, the 360,000 Hermes bag was still a major slap to everybody's faces. Even if the bag was resold, it was still worth at least 200,000 to 300,000. These were all money. At this moment, Zhao Yifan's face looked wretched. She never imagined that loser Chen Hao would buy a 360,000 bag for Zionan as a birthday gift. She recalled how she had treated him with contempt today. Upon seeing the admiration that the girls bestowed upon this Hermes bag now, Zhao Yifan felt that she had been tricked. She got angry instead. Haha, so what if the bag is really worth 360,000? Did Chen Hao not know that a VIP shopping card like this could be resold? Unfortunately, he had already used it. This can only mean that he is an idiot. Humph! Zhao Yifan scoffed. Yang Xia also nodded her head. That's right, there is something really wrong with Chen Hao's brain. Haha, come on, stop being jealous already. No matter what, this 360,000 luxury handbag was given by Chen Hao as a gift to Zionan. Zionan, you have to treat us. It's 360,000. Han Ziyu laughed heartily. She had a pleasant disposition. In addition to that, she was not just a pretty face, but an influencer. Hence, she knew all about the various aspects of society. Yes. Zionan must treat us. Zionan, can I borrow your bag for one day, just one day? A crowd of girls started begging her. Early on, Ma Zionan was already in a state of shock. Borrow you? The first thought that came to her mind was that Chen Hao did not know the origins of the card and was tricked by the promoter. After all, Chen Hao had never bought luxury items before. No way, I need to return this bag to Chen Hao. If he sells it, he could get at least 200,000 in cash. It's enough for him to finish his college life without any worries. Ma Zionan's thoughts were different from the others. She was very worried about Chen Hao's problems in life. No way! No way! She never expected that Yang Xia and Zhao Yifan would answer in unison. Yang Xia thought, if Ma Zionan gave it back to Chen Hao, then wouldn't Chen Hao have 200,000 to 300,000 in cash? Yang Xia was not willing to see this kind of situation. After she dumped Chen Hao, he should continue on with his life miserably. How could he be allowed to live in such a carefree manner? On the other hand, Zhao Yifan simply hated Chen Hao. Zionan, why this bag was his gift to you, so why would you want to give it back to that poor loser? Zhao Yifan frowned. Han Siyu smiled. We should not waste such an expensive Hermes bag. I am going to start a live stream first. I am going to show off this bag to my viewers. Zionan, do you mind? Ma Zionan smiled and shook her head. Although she agreed to it, she had already made up her mind to return the bag to Chen Hao tomorrow. And she was going to accompany him back to the luxury store to return it. Even if they could not return it for the original price, 100,000 was still better than nothing. Click. Click. All the girls in the dormitory had already started scrambling amongst themselves to take a picture with the bag. Finally, the bag fell into Han Siyu's hands. She started her mobile phone's Same City live streaming app. Hello my precious babies, we haven't seen each other for a day and I've missed you all already. In addition to that, I present to you a midnight fan service. See all these gorgeous young ladies. Muix. Han Siyu smiled cutely. In that instant, the number of viewers rose to 3,000 people. Han Siyu had been live streaming for a year. Because it was the Same City live streaming app, her main fan base consisted mostly of college students. Her fans were mostly students from Jinling College, and to a lesser degree, the public. The moment Han Siyu appeared, the discussion section on the live stream heated up in an instant. Damn! It really is a fan service, there's so many pretty looking girls. One like the tall girl with the red hair. Wow, who's that tall girl with the red hair? Please give me your WeChat number. Oh my god, Siyu is actually acquainted with the gorgeous Yifan from the broadcasting department. Presenting Zhao Yifan, from the broadcasting department. You guys can thank me later. Zhao Yifan, who had been putting on a frosty look all this while, saw the viewers clamoring for her on the screen. Her mood, which had turned sour when she was comparing herself to Han Siyu, improved a lot in that instant. She even nodded as a sign of acknowledgement to the fans on screen. Humph, my precious babies want to look at their beauties. Don't you guys want to look at me anymore? I am so sad. Han Siyu rubbed her eyes and made an aggrieved expression. She even sent a pop-up window to her fan group. No way, you are all my wives. We love all of you equally. At this moment, the live streaming display showed. Lu Chen, the richest young master is online. Su Nan, the richest young master is online. A number of her classmates joined the live stream after seeing Han Siyu's pop-up prompts. Even Chen Hao's dorm mates and Yang Hui also joined the live broadcast. Han Siyu was a stunning lady. When she held a live broadcasting session, she was very good at flirting and she looked extremely sexy. She was every man's dream lover. But her standards were also surprisingly high. Lu Chen and Su Nan from the class next door had pursued her before, but to nobody's surprise, they had failed. This was also the reason why Lu Chen and Su Nan were in Han Siyu's fan group. They had spent a huge amount of money on her. My babies, you have all fallen for another person. I am going to cry soon. Don't you want to give me some presents? I have introduced so many pretty girls to all of you at one go. Han Siyu said with an aggrieved face. Yang Hui, who had a crush on Han Siyu, gave her 10 virtual roses in that instant. Each of the virtual roses was worth $1. Wow, thank you Yang Hui. Muix. Yang Hui, you are so beautiful. Oh by the way, isn't the bag that you are holding a gift from Chen Hao to Zionan? Yang Hui's comment appeared on screen. Immediately, a heated discussion ensued. Damn, I did not realize that it was actually a Hermes bag. It's even a collector's edition model and it's worth approximately 300,000. I'll be damned, do you have a sugar daddy? Oh! My heart! Su Nan, haha, this must be what Liu Chen was telling me about. Chen Hao came into possession of a one-time shopping cart and he stupidly bought a bag for Xionan using that. Haha, I nearly laughed myself to death. Netizen, oh my god, he's really stupid. Obviously, Yang Xia told Liu Chen about this and Liu Chen in turn, told Su Nan and the rest of them. They started talking about Chen Hao. Liu Chen, haha, that idiot irritated me a lot today. He even made Xia quarrel with me for the entire day. I have wasted my entire night. Yang Hui saw all of them ridiculing Chen Hao. In order to change the topic, he continuously sent her 10 virtual roses. Su Nan, damn it, Yang Hui. Why would you show off your stupid presence here? Aren't you embarrassed to give her roses? Only the moment he finished typing. Su Nan, give her a rocket. One virtual rocket was worth 100. Su Nan sent a rocket. Another pause. Su Nan sent a rocket. There were 5 continuous swipes. Han Siyu was on a roll. Even Yang Xia and Zhao Yifan felt excited. How easy was it to earn money? Liu Chen did not want to lose to them too. He immediately swiped 10 times. 1000. He wanted to swipe away all the unlucky aura he got from Chen Hao. A hint of proudness flashed across Yang Xia's face. This was her husband. Su Nan, haha, Yang Hui, including Chen Hao and your dorm mates, you guys are the ultimate 6 poor losers. Come. Do you want to compete with me in this live broadcast? I will take on all 6 of you to see who can swipe the most. Yang Hui was so angered by their taunts. At the same time, in Chen Hao's dormitory. Achoo! Chen Hao gave a huge sneeze and woke from his sleep. Only then did he notice the stream of messages coming in from his class discussion group chat. It was very noisy. When he opened it, he realized that the discussion topic revolved around his purchase of the bag. They were even saying something about Han Siyu's live streaming. Even the pretty counselor Lin Chennan also called him a moron. What was going on? Chen Hao was dumbfounded. He was just an innocent bystander, yet he was caught in the crossfire. When he saw the class discussions, Chen Hao thought that it definitely had something to do with Han Siyu's live streaming. Had he become the topic of the live stream? Thinking about this, Chen Hao immediately downloaded the same city live streaming app. Then, he found Han Siyu's live streaming chat room. Coincidentally, he saw Su Nan, Liu Chen and the rest of the gang taunting and ridiculing his roommates who had stood up for him. The ultimate 6 poor losers. Chen Hao smiled coldly. Chapter 14. To splurge. Just when Liu Chen and Su Nan were tooting their own horns during the live broadcast, Ordinary Guy sent an international cruise ship. Ordinary Guy sent an international cruise ship. Ordinary Guy sent an international cruise ship. Silence. 10 continuous swipes. Each of the virtual international cruise ships was worth 1000. Wow! Han Siyu was so surprised that she covered her mouth. Mr. Ordinary Guy, Muux. Mr. Ordinary Guy, I love you. Han Siyu was over the moon. All the girls in the dormitory looked at the screen. The moment this guy made a move, he had spent 10,000 in one shot. He was so rich. Zhao Yifan and Yang Xia were stunned. They knew that one could earn a lot of money by doing live streams. Now, they have witnessed it with their own eyes. Mr. Ordinary Guy, are you from our school? Which department are you in? At this moment, a lot of beautiful girls came up and asked. At the same time, Liu Chen and Su Nan, who were in the live streaming chat room, were languishing. They did have 10,000. In fact, each of them had approximately 20,000 to 30,000 worth of living expenses per month. However, to swipe 10,000 in one go, they presumed that this rich ordinary guy must have twice as much money as them, and he total stole their limelight. What a waste! Han Siyu was so excited. Mr. Ordinary Guy, I also want to know which department are you from? Ordinary Guy, I am from the Department of Chinese Language. Ah, the Department of Chinese Language. Isn't that our department? Other than Liu Chen and Su Nan, who else is rich in our department? I don't know. All the beautiful girls looked surprised. If that was true, then they would have to dress up from now onward. What if this ordinary guy were to show interest in them? Mr. Ordinary Guy, which grade are you and do you have a girlfriend? If you don't have any, I can recommend some for you. Yang Xia couldn't help herself but chat with him. First of all, she was a stunning lady. She had slender, long legs and an internet celebrity face. She had actually thought about earning money through live streaming so that she could meet a rich guy to secure her future. She was really curious. Ordinary Guy, no girlfriend. Ordinary Guy sent an international cruise ship. Ordinary Guy sent an international cruise ship. Silence. Beep. 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 5 continuous swipes. Ah. Han Siyu nearly went mad. All the people in the dorm sucked in a cold breath of air. Han Siyu was beyond excited. Mr. Ordinary Guy, if you do not have a girlfriend, I can help you find one. All of us are in the same department. See the beautiful girls behind me, of course that includes me as well. Which one do you prefer? Han Siyu was actually regretting her decision to start a live stream in front of so many pretty girls. To share a boyfriend was an awkward thing to do. To share a rich guy made Han Siyu feel uncomfortable. Besides, she glanced at Ordinary Guy's username. He was already a VIP member in a blink of an eye. This meant that he had topped up at least 100,000. Only then could he earn the right to have that icon. If it was convenient now, Han Siyu would have given this ordinary guy a one-to-one private live streaming session with her. The only thing was, there were just too many beautiful girls. Just let it be then, the interaction would still be fun. Mr. Ordinary Guy, tell us, which one of us do you prefer to be your girlfriend? Siyu teased. The one behind you, does she have a boyfriend? Ordinary Guy typed. The girl behind Siu was obviously Yang Xia. Ah. I, why don't you guess then, Mr. Ordinary Guy? Yang Xia was so surprised that she gulped. However, she knew that Liu Chen might still be in the live streaming chat room, hence she did not make her intentions too obvious. Ordinary Guy sent an international cruise ship. Ordinary Guy sent an international cruise ship. Silence. Another 5 continuous swipes. At the same time, due to the 20 continuous swipes of the virtual international cruise ship, the management of the live streaming platform immediately noticed the popularity of this live streaming channel. Hence, they promoted it on their homepage. Thus, more and more students from the same college joined in the discussion. Her popularity rose to 5,000 viewers. Ordinary Guy started typing, I won't guess, tell me directly. Yang Xia took a deep breath. She was blushing furiously. Just when she wanted to bite the bullet and say no, Han Siyu jealously replied, Humph, she has a boyfriend. Her boyfriend is Liu Chen. He was the one sending rockets just now. Yang Xia blushed. She thought in her heart, Han Siyu, what's so great about you? Wait till I start my live streaming channel, and let's see who's more popular then. Humph. Ordinary Guy, haha, don't you feel embarrassed to be sending rockets only? Oh right, the bag you have on you. It looks expensive, 360,000 right? Did somebody give it to you as a gift, that rich guy? Han Siyu waved the Hermes bag in her hands. Mr. Ordinary Guy, do you also think the bag looks nice? Han Siyu started to show off the bag next. At this moment, Zhao Yifan, who was standing wordlessly beside Han Siyu all this while, said, Mr. Ordinary Guy, you are mistaken. The person who gave her this bag is not a rich person, he's just a loser from your Chinese language department. The moment she heard that someone would actually mistake Chen Hao to be a rich person, Zhao Yifan couldn't help but to quickly explain the situation. Ordinary Guy, loser, what if you found out that the person who gave her the bag wasn't a loser and was actually a really rich guy? What would you do? You should know not to judge a book by its cover. Zhao Yifan said, Mr. Ordinary Guy, you are very mature in your speech. However, that guy is practically a complete loser. As for this bag, it's a very long story. She did not know why. But just chatting with this rich ordinary guy through the screen, Zhao Yifan had an intuition that this ordinary guy was a very matured person. Although he was a rich guy, he was definitely not a spoiled second-generation heir. If it was possible, Zhao Yifan would really like to get to know him. Ordinary Guy sent an international cruise ship. Silence filled the room. Another 5 continuous swipes. The crowd was shocked. Mr. Ordinary Guy, let's exchange our WeChat numbers. I will give you a live streaming session every day. Okay, the excited Han Siyu quickly said to the screen. After waiting for a long time, Ordinary Guy still had not replied. She took a look again and saw that he was already offline. Han Siyu sighed dispiritedly, but the 20,000 was enough to make Han Siyu excited already. At the same time, quite a number of girls in the dormitory had already downloaded this live streaming app. They wanted to chat privately with the rich ordinary guy from Han Siyu's live streaming chat room, including Yang Xia. In the male dormitory, Chen Hao overheard Su Nan, who was next door, constantly yelling things like "Don't think that you are so great just because you have money" or something along those lines. He threw his mobile phone away lazily. The corners of his mouth carried a bitter smile. Indeed, as long as you had money, everything you said was right. As long as you didn't have money, whatever you did was considered shallow. Haha. The ordinary guy just now was none other than Chen Hao. Seeing Lu Chen and Su Nan tooting their own horns and mocking his roommates in the live stream, Chen Hao had topped up 150,000 at one go. Sure enough, he managed to shut them both up. Listening to Su Nan, who was still cursing next door, he figured that Su Nan's pride might have taken a beating today. Besides, he was intentionally testing Yang Xia just now. Unexpectedly, Yang Xia did not disappoint him. She had turned into a vain and materialistic girl. Chen Hao, please give up on her already. As he was very tired, Chen Hao continued sleeping. The next day, his roommate, Yang Hui, and the rest of the gang, only came back to the dorm to sleep at 5 in the morning after climbing over the campus walls. As they were having classes today, they quickly made their way to the lecture hall after they finished their breakfast. Chen Hao, stop right there. As soon as he walked out of the cafeteria, he was stopped by the harsh voice of a girl. Chapter 15: The Thought of Buying a Car. Chen Hao heard the voice and turned around. He saw a beautiful, tall girl with skin as white as snow standing in front of him. She was dressed in skinny denim cropped pants, a t-shirt and a pair of high heels. She was crossing her arms and looking at Chen Hao disdainfully. Chen Hao, you really are something, aren't you? You actually bought a 300,000 luxury item while clinging on to the student subsidies provided by our department. Let me tell you, based on this matter alone, you can forget all about the student subsidies this year, she coldly stated. Zhang Weiwei, the shopping card was given to Chen Hao by those people as a way of thanking him for saving their daughter. What reasons do you have to cancel Chen Hao's student subsidy? Don't think you are so high and mighty just because you are the president of the student council. Dorm leader, Yang Hui, couldn't help but utter those words when he saw the girl with the ice-cold aura in front of him. This is none of your business. The applications for Chen Hao's student subsidy are provided by our student council every year. That was because he was an honest person. But now, he actually bought a 300,000 bag. Currently, everybody in the entire department, even the entire campus, knows that there is a big idiot in our department. He tainted our department's reputation. His student subsidies can be cancelled based on this offense alone. Zhang Weiwei looked at Chen Hao in disgust. Obviously, after Han Siyu's live streaming last night, nearly everyone in the campus knew that he had bought the bag. In addition to that, she was president the student council. And she happened to be one of the few female presidents in the entire campus. She came from well-to-do family and was a very sociable person. She was quite close to most of the rich and powerful students in her department, and the entire campus. She was even close to the lecturers from different departments. She had the classic big sister personality. Hence, she looked down upon losers like Chen Hao who did not have the money nor the power. However, Chen Hao had a special characteristic. That was, he was quite an obedient person. In the past, Zhang Weiwei often used the student subsidy as leverage to order Chen Hao around, while the rest of the poor students slogged away like slaves to provide free labor to Zhang Weiwei. This was the reason why Yang Hui did not see eye to eye with Zhang Weiwei. Humph, Chen Hao, what should we do about this? Zhang Weiwei crossed her arms and looked at him haughtily. Chen Hao frowned. To be honest, he did not need the student subsidies anymore. But the bottom line was, although Zhang Weiwei looked down upon him and bullied him, the student subsidies he received in the past did indeed come from her. Chen Hao asked, "What do you want?" "Humph, what do I want? If you want to continue receiving the student subsidies, you have to do one more thing for me. As for smearing our department's reputation, I can put that behind us." Zhang Weiwei was talking about the incident whereby Chen Hao was called an idiot for buying that bag. When Zhang Weiwei recalled it, she felt so much hatred. Firstly, she hated how this poor loser got so lucky that he was given that VIP shopping card. Secondly, she hated the fact that Chen Hao actually gave away a 360,000 bag as a birthday gift to another person. A freaking 360,000. If he gave it to her, then wouldn't he that ego? However, Chen Hao did not even try to please her. Then fine, let's see how you live without your student subsidies. Idiot! Zhang Weiwei scolded in her heart. What do you want me to do? On the other hand, Chen Hao looked indifferent. Simple. Next week our department will be organizing a huge event. The venue needs tidying up, so you can go and sweep the entire venue. Then, I can continue to help you apply for your student subsidies. I have already gotten a permit for you to leave the class, so you don't have to go for your morning lectures today. Don't say I didn't take care of you. Zhang Weiwei threw the permit at Chen Hao for him to bring along. Then, she gave him a slight glance, turned on her heels and walked away. Damn it, this woman really knows how to push people around. Yang Hui scolded. His roommate Li Rui was also angered by her. How? Don't be scared, you don't have to go there. Do you know how big the venue is? How could she let you clean up that place? Let us go to class. He gave Chen Hao a pat on his shoulders. But if he doesn't go, what will happen to his student subsidies? His friends started to get worried. Finally, Yang Hui clapped his hands and said, it's alright, let us all go to the venue and help Hao with the clean-up. Alright, that is a good idea. His roommates nodded their heads. There was a warm feeling in Chen Hao's heart. It was true. This was the reason why Chen Hao still remained optimistic although he had been humiliated so many times in college for the past 3 years. Because of his poverty, he had gotten to know some friends who were like brothers to him. Brothers who sincerely cared about him. However, how could he allow them to bear the punishment with him? To be honest, Chen Hao really wanted to tell them that he was actually a rich second-generation heir. However, Chen Hao did not know whether his friendship with them would last if he were to tell them about this. Because in his heart, this friendship was the real treasure. It's okay guys, I will go by myself. It's not the first time I've cleaned up a big venue. You are not as skilled as I am, so you might cause me more trouble instead. After thinking about it, Chen Hao decided keeps his identity a secret temporarily, so he answered their suggestions in a joking manner. After uttering those words, he walked toward the venue. Chen Hao, why are you late? Who do you think you are? Do you think that you are so high and mighty just because you bought that bag? The moment Chen Hao stepped into the venue, he heard Zhang Weiwei's cold voice, which was full of contempt. Ha ha ha! The guys and girls who were rehearsing there broke into peals of laughter when they heard the remark. Because there was an event next week, the department's performance team, led by Zhang Weiwei, was rehearsing. Don't put it that way. After all, how could we compare ourselves to the person who spent 360,000 to buy a bag? You're right, you better be careful of what you say, President. Chen Hao will use his money to slap you in the face until you start crying in the future. A group of girls snickered while looking in the direction of Chen Hao. On the other hand, the guys continued to mock Chen Hao in a roundabout way. Their eyes were full of ridicule. They were actually jealous of Chen Hao's luck. If they were to receive 360,000, then they would have been able to buy the bag and get the president, Zhang Weiwei, into their beds. Chen Hao ignored them and did not wish to say anything. At that moment, just when he was preparing to sweep up the mess they left behind, a tall guy walked over and pushed Chen Hao away roughly. Scram, don't block my way. Did you really think you were a fucking rich person? What an idiot. Chen Hao nearly fell down. His name was Wang Yang. Chen Hao obviously knew him. He was the vice president of the student council and the leader of the basketball team. His family was in the trading business and he was super rich. He had ridiculed Chen Hao many times in the past. Wang Yang, why are you late? Zhang Weiwei initially looked cold. But after seeing Wang Yang, she didn't look displeased. This was because Zhang Weiwei really liked Wang Yang's rugged style. He was tall and handsome and good at basketball. Apart from that, his family was rich. It wasn't hard for him to get a girl's attention. At the same time, the girls who were in the performing arts group looked at Wang Yang with desire. Oh, don't mention it already. This morning I went to modify my car. Wang Yang unscrewed the cap of the mineral water and took a sip. Car? You bought a car? Some of the girls asked in surprise. Haha, it's just an A6 Audi model. I only use it for practice. Wang Yang laughed heartily. Wow! All the girls were envious. Even Zhang Weiwei, who had high expectations, was slightly moved. Is it a domestic car or an imported one? Actually, it did not matter whether it was domestic or imported, it was already very awesome. It's an important car. Thanks to my father's friend, it was sold at approximately 100,000 less than the original price. Haha. Wang Yang smiled lightly. At this moment, even Zhang Weiwei looked impressed. Chen Hao was sweeping the floor. When he heard he had bought a car, he couldn't help but listen to the conversation. In fact, it had always been a small dream of Chen Hao to buy a car. It did not matter what type of car it was, as long as it was a car. Why was it a dream? Because before this, Chen Hao's dreams of buying a car could only remain a dream. Hence, he was curiously listening to their conversation. Of course, he was not paying attention to what he was doing at that moment. He did not know that he was actually sweeping the broom under a girl's skirt. She happened to be sitting below the rostrum. Ah! Until the girl gave a piercing scream. Chapter 16 Attending the Gathering. Chen Hao accidentally swept the girl's feet. She was wearing a pair of white-colored shoes and she also had fair legs. She was paying attention to Wang Yang, who was talking about his car. She was paying full attention to him. She did not expect the dirty-looking broom to sweep across her shoes, thereby smearing a layer of dust upon them. In that instant, she couldn't help but scream in surprise. Her screams obviously attracted the attention of Wang Yang and Zhang Weiwei. "Tongzin, what's wrong?" Zhang Weiwei hurriedly came over and asked with concern. Wang Yang dashed over instantly. "It's nothing." Su Tongzin pushed her hair back and crouched down slightly. She took out a wet napkin and wanted to clean the layer of dust off her shoes. But unexpectedly, the more she cleaned, the dirtier it got. Su Tongzin was extremely fastidious. She couldn't help but frown. "Chen Hao, did you dirty her shoes?" Zhang Weiwei immediately glared at him. She looked angry. On the other hand, Wang Yang's face was full of rage. "FCKU! You poor bastard, do you know how much Tongzin's shoes cost? Even if I sold you off, you wouldn't be able to pay her back." After finishing his sentence, he grabbed hold of Chen Hao's collar. "It's okay. It's not his fault." When Su Tongzin saw Wang Yang about to start a fight, she quickly stood up to put a stop to it. Actually, Su Tongzin had her eyes on Chen Hao for quite some time. She noticed that he was different from the rest of the people. She could see that he was really quite poor. That was why he was bossed around by Wang Yang and the rest of the gang. However, Su Tongzin did not see the slightest look of inferiority in his eyes due to his poverty, instead he looked indifferent. Especially when she saw Chen Hao's honest-looking face, she couldn't be angry at him even if she wanted to. Hence, when Su Tongzin saw that Chen Hao was going to get beaten up, she quickly stood up to stop the fight. "Tongzin, don't worry, the least I can do is force this poor bastard to buy you another pair of shoes," Wang Yang said viciously. Su Tongzin wasn't from the Chinese language department, but the broadcasting department next door. However, she and Zhang Weiwei were childhood friends and they were very close. They came here specifically to hang out today. Wang Yang liked Zhang Weiwei. However, he liked Zhang Weiwei's best friend Su Tongzin even more by comparison. "It's fine, it's really fine. I will go back to my dormitory to change into a new one," Su Tongzin quickly said. She even nodded her head in Chen Hao's direction. "Count yourself lucky." Wang Yang was satisfied with his performance today in front of the two pretty girls today. At that moment, he looked at Su Tongzin who was preparing to leave. "Oh right, Tongzin. After you have finished changing your shoes, let's go out for a gathering. Everybody must be so tired from practicing these few days. It's my treat today at Charming Orchard." "Wow! Charming Orchard, I heard that the fruit salads and the steaks there are very delicious, but it is super expensive." "Yang, we would like to go too." When they heard of the Charming Orchard, the group of girls started cheering in that instant. "Okay. Wang Yang clapped his hands. Zhang Weiwei took Su Tongzin's arms and smiled. Tongzin, we will be waiting for you outside your dormitory. Su Tongzin obviously did not want to go. However, Wang Yang nearly got into a fight with Chen Hao just now because of her, and it seemed like everybody wanted to go to Charming Orchard. If she were to reject them now, then wouldn't she ruin everybody's fun? Su Tongzin nodded her head. Okay, I will go get the car. I will be waiting for all of you. Wang Yang's scheme was a success. After giving Chen Hao a glance, he then walked out happily. At this moment, Zhang Weiwei glared at Chen Hao. Chen Hao, what are you looking at? Why did you think you could come along? Let me tell you this, we are not finished with your student subsidy issue yet. You better stay here and clean up this venue properly. If it's not cleaned after I return, we will see about that. What the hell? Chen Hao listened to Wang Yang and Zhang Weiwei taking turns ridiculing him. Actually, he was very pissed. However, if he were to lose his temper now, other than getting a vicious beating from Wang Yang, he wouldn't get anything in the end. He wasn't a weakling. It was just that it would be an unwise decision to lose his temper if he knew he was going to get beaten up for it. Let's go, Tongzin. Let's go and try out Wang Yang's A6. After giving Chen Hao a disdainful look, Zhang Weiwei took Su Tongzin's arm and left. The rest of the students also went out one after another. One car would definitely not be enough to foot them all. However, Chen Hao did not know how they were going to get there. While cleaning the mess they made, Chen Hao thought to himself. Was it time to get a car for himself? He continued to ponder it. It was nearly noon by the time he was finished with his cleaning duties. At this moment, Chen Hao's mobile phone rang. It was a call from his dorm leader, Yang Hui. Chen, are you done yet? Chen Hao nodded his head. Yes, I'm done. Damn it, who does Zhang Weiwei think she is if she dares to break your agreement and revoke your student subsidies this time? After discussing among ourselves, we have decided that we will bring up this matter to the department head. A warm feeling spread across his heart. No worries, dorm leader. Oh, that's right, Chen, if you have nothing to do now, let's go for a roommates gathering together this afternoon. Yang Hui changed the topic so suddenly. Especially the last few words were almost said in a whisper, there was even a slight hint of embarrassment in his tone. Chen Hao, who knew Yang Hui very well, immediately noticed it. This guy had always spoken his mind, but why was he speaking this way now? Is somebody else going to? Chen Hao couldn't help but smile bitterly and ask. Bingo! Chen, do you remember Zhao Yifan's roommate, Su Xia? She was sitting next to Zhao Yifan at Ma Zionan's birthday party yesterday. All the pretty girls from Zhao Yifan's dormitory came to the birthday party yesterday. Chen Hao did have an inkling of who Su Xia was. She had short hair and had a cute, innocent look. However, she was the same as Zhao Yifan. She did give him a few disdainful looks yesterday. But she did not speak much and was quite a steady person. I know her. Why did you ask her out? Chen Hao was surprised. This morning when I went back to class, I happened to bump into her along the way. She lost her mobile phone in the cafeteria, so I went back to help her look for it. Luckily I am close with the boss of the cafeteria there. I managed to gain access to the security cameras and found it successfully. This is destiny. Actually, when I saw her yesterday, I was interested in her. Then I plucked up my courage to ask her out for lunch at noon today. She immediately agreed. Yang Hui said excitedly. To be honest, after listening to his words, Chen Hao was very happy for Yang Hui. But because of the situation with Zhao Yifan, Chen Hao really did not want to stay with Zhao Yifan and her group of friends. It was mainly because he could not stand their disdainful looks. Then that's great. Why don't you all go then? I don't want to become the third wheel in your relationship. I wish you all the best. Chen Hao smiled and said. Damn it, go to hell. Chen, where is your sense of loyalty? We are all going. Besides, Ma Zionan is coming as well. In addition to that, there is a really important person tagging along. This time, Zionan sincerely wants to fix the both of you up. If you seize this opportunity, you can turn your situation around. Yang Hui was also thinking about Chen Hao. A really important person. Chen Hao thought about it for a while and he immediately understood. Damn, don't tell me Zhao Yifan is going too. Chapter 17 Overseas Returnees. Chen Hao didn't know how to feel about Zhao Yifan. Although she was gorgeous and had an excellent disposition, Chen Hao did not like her, despise the poor and curry favor with the rich behavior. He wasn't sure what Xiao Nan was thinking about. Why did she want to bring the both of them together so badly? Hence, in order to avoid further embarrassment, he really did not want to go. However, he could not hold his own against Yang Hui's advice. He did not want to ruin his friend's fun, hence he agreed to go. The Bright Star Western Restaurant was chosen as the location of the gathering. Yang Hui obviously could not afford to go to the type of hotel that Su Nan and Liu Chen went to. They were rich second-generation heirs, but he wasn't. A total of 6 people from the girls' dormitory including Zhao Yifan and Su Xia came to the gathering. In addition to Ma Zionan, 6 people from Chen Hao's dormitory came too. However, Chen Hao did not go together with Yang Hui as he needed to make a trip back to the dormitory. In my opinion, the 12 of us including Xiao Nan and the 5 people from Yang Hui's dormitory is enough for this gathering. Zhao Yifan sat on her seat swaying her legs while drinking some juice. The meaning behind her words were evident. She had quite a good impression of Yang Hui. He was relatively mature in handling things. The only thing was Yang Hui's parents were only ordinary high school teachers. Based on this, he did not meet Zhao Yifan's criteria. Yes, you are right, Chen Hao shouldn't be allowed to come. The moment I see him, I will think about that incident. It's so damn humorous. Su Xia added jokingly. Okay. Yifan and Su Xia, don't hate Chen Hao that much. He really is a good person. You will understand this after spending some time with him for a while. Ma Zionan said with a smile. Yes, Chen is a great person. Yang Hui and the rest of them said, one after another. Haha, a good person. If he really was a good person, then he wouldn't let the 12 of us sit here and wait for him. What do you say, Su Xia? Zhao Yifan coldly harumphed. Hey, Chen Hao's here. Ma Zionan stood up and waved at Chen Hao, who was standing at the entrance, to come over. I apologize for my tardiness. I had to go back to the dorm to make a phone call to settle some things. Chen Hao smiled. Ma Zionan was sitting opposite Zhao Yifan. In that instant, her gaze shifted and she stood up and dragged Chen Hao to her seat. Chen Hao, sit here. Could Ma Zionan be more obvious? However, he did not whine about it and sat down. Lin Jiao, let's change our seats. Unexpectedly, the moment Chen Hao took his seat, Zhao Yifan pulled a long face and said that to her best friend. Yifan, I don't want to exchange my seats with you. I don't want to sit near this poor loser. Everybody would think he was my boyfriend. What, wouldn't you be glad if Chen Hao was your boyfriend? Look at him, he was willing to part with a 300,000 bag. Haha. You're right, Jiao, if you were to meet a guy like Chen Hao, you should just go to him. Ha ha ha. Lin Jiao looked gorgeous. She was very skilled in her makeup. Besides, she was covered from head to toe in branded apparels and accessories. Naturally, she looked down upon Chen Hao. When she heard her roommates teasing her, she was nearly speechless. "Oh, since you think he is so great, you might as well let him be your boyfriend then." "Ah! We surrender, we surrender." Upon hearing this, the girls did not dare to joke around anymore. Obviously, they were very sensitive to the words Chen Hao and boyfriend, as if they would be ridiculed if Chen Hao was their boyfriend. But they could only bear with it. Although it was beyond reason, it was still within Chen Hao's expectations that Zhao Yifan would refuse to sit with him. "Zionan, I will sit at the corner here. Come over here quickly and take a seat." Chen Hao couldn't help but smile bitterly in his heart. He felt like a pestilence in the girl's eyes. Other second-generation heirs with 30,000 to 50,000 in their hands could toot their own horns in front of beautiful girls and catch the girls' attention. He had countless assets under his name, but why could he not get any girl's attention? Chen Hao had thought about using his own money to toot his own horn, but he did not know how. Sigh. With that, Chen Hao stood aside. Ma Zionan initially wanted to advise him because she really wanted to mend their relationship. Both of them were her best friends. Yifan. At this moment, a voice rang beside Chen Hao's table. A tall, handsome guy dressed in branded casual wear stood in front of the crowd. He looked at Zhao Yifan. His gaze was filled with surprise and joy. "Are you Zhuang Jiang?" Zhao Yifan also looked surprised. She straightened her hair and stood up with a smile on her face. "Yes, I am. Yifan, I haven't seen you in 2 years. You are getting more beautiful by the day. I nearly did not recognize you at all." Zhuang Jiang smiled. "By the way, Zhuang Jiang, I thought your father sent you abroad for your studies. When did you return?" "I came back the day before yesterday. I happened to ask someone for your contact number." "That's right. Have you guys settled the issue at the Imperial KTV?" It was Lei, our classmate from high school, who called and told me about this. He said you met with some trouble there." Zhuang Jiang smiled and said. Zhao Yifan was so surprised that she covered her mouth. Even Zhao Yifan's roommates suddenly looked as if they understood something. "Ah! Zhuang Jiang, was it you? Did you help us out yesterday?" Zhao Yifan looked surprised and happy at the same time. Yesterday, Zhuang Jiang really wanted to help and he did indeed ask his father to give Li Fiheng a call. But Li Fiheng did not pick it up. So at that moment, he did not think too much when he heard Zhao Yifan ask him whether he helped them out or not. He said, "Yes, yes. I did ask my father to ask around." Zhao Yifan was thrilled. At the same time, there was a flash of pride across her face. Women would always be the most prideful creatures on earth. So everything's settled. All their doubts were clear. It turned out the person who made the call that day wasn't Ning Fan nor was it their friends. The only person who was able to make Li Fiheng act that way was none other than her childhood friend, Zhuang Jiang. In the past, Zhuang Jiang's father and her father were comrades in arms. Hence, her relationship with Zhuang Jiang was very good. However, Zhuang Jiang's family business grew too big and thus he was sent abroad to study. Since then, they did not contact each other anymore. She did not expect him to give everyone such a big surprise upon his return. In addition to that, if he was able to make Li Fiheng act that way, could you imagine the might of Zhuang Jiang's family? "Zhuang Jiang, no matter what, thank you very much." Zhao Yifan was beside herself with joy. Seeing Zhao Yifan act that way, Chen Hao was incredulous. "Damn, I've just gotten rid of Ning Fan, and Zhuangqiang comes along to steal my victory. Chen Hao really wanted to tell them that it was him. It was him who made that call to save them. But other than allowing Zhao Yifan and the rest of them to treat him with even more disdain, he would not get anything from it. But most importantly, Chen Hao did not want to associate himself too much with Zhao Yifan. At that moment, they could do whatever they wanted. Yes, I came to attend one of the gatherings organized by our classmates from high school. It's just upstairs. Yifan, I will go up to give them a toast and come downstairs later. You can introduce me to your friends later. With that, Zhuangqiang gave the girls a slight bow. He looked like a gentleman. Then he slowly left, leaving behind a group of dumbstruck girls. Wow! He's so cool! Yifan, do tell, what's the background of your childhood friend? Does he have a girlfriend? Lin Jiao and the rest of the group were very curious. Zhao Yifan proudly said, this Zhuangqiang is an amazing guy. Did you guys know about the prosperous food group that belongs to his family? It is one of the biggest names in the food industry. Damn, it is among the top 100 listed companies among the businesses in Jinling. Their power is truly formidable. Lin Jiao and the rest of them said in awe. Didn't the news report that there was something wrong with Prosperous Group's capital flow a few days ago? Chen Hao was listening quietly in the corner, but after listening to them chattering away, he wanted to join in the conversation too. But the moment he said those words, the entire atmosphere froze. Especially Zhao Yifan. She was glaring at him sternly. What do you mean? Isn't it normal to have capital flow problems? Why are you ridiculing him? Humph, some people are like that. They are so envious of others that they would take advantage of other people's weaknesses. It's really disgusting. Lin Jiao said condescendingly. In that instant, Chen Hao's words nearly caused a war to break out. Yifan. A student was walking behind Zhuangqiang and both of them came downstairs. Chapter 18 Another visit to Hot Spring Villa. Yifan, you don't look happy. What happened? Zhuangqiang walked down the staircase with two hands in his pockets. Looking at Zhao Yifan, who had become prettier compared to when they last met 2 years ago, Zhuangqiang could feel his heart thumping. Nothing. Elle just felt disgusted. Zhao Yifan glared at Chen Hao and said coldly. That's right. Who does he think he is? He always talks nonsense. Lin Jiao and the other pretty girls seemed to hate him equally as much. They glared at Chen Hao. Zhuangqiang also took a glance at Chen Hao. When he entered the room, he noticed that there was bad blood between Zhao Yifan and Chen Hao. Looking at the situation, both of them seemed to have quarreled. Don't tell me that this guy is flirting with Zhao Yifan. Hehe, how could that be possible? Zhuangqiang quickly scanned Chen Hao's clothing, it only totaled up to about 150. It was impossible that something was going on between Yifan and him. If it's a misunderstanding, we can talk it out. All of you are classmates, so you should get along well with each other. Zhuangqiang smiled brightly and his gaze stopped at Chen Hao. Hey friend, my name is Zhuangqiang. I'm Zhao Yifan's childhood friend. Nice to meet you. After saying that, Zhuangqiang reached out his hand and wanted to shake hands with him. A golden Rolex watch could be spotted on his wrist as his sleeves hiked up. This golden watch was not an ordinary item. It cost at least 100,000. All the girls couldn't stop staring at the watch. Chen Hao looked at Zhuangqiang, doubting his sincerity. As he was about to reach his hand out, he heard Zhuangqiang ask in surprise, "Wow, my friend. What is the brand of the shirt that you're wearing? I just came back from abroad, but I've never seen this design before." Zhuangjiang stared at Chen Hao's shirt, pretending to be surprised. His lips lifted slightly full of mockery. He could sense that Zhao Yifan was not friendly to this guy. Why don't play along and mock him for a while? Hehe, it's just an ordinary brand. Chen Hao knew that he did it purposely with bad intention. But Chen Hao didn't bother about him. To be frank, Chen Hao was thinking of using his sister's VIP shopping card to buy some clothes, but the minimum expense was 30,000. It made him feel profligate. Oh, I see, ordinary brand Li Hao, have you seen this brand before? You've always been in the country all this while. Zhuangjiang looked at his mate from high school. The guy named Li Hao had blonde hair and he was quite fair. Actually, as soon as he came here, his sight was wandering on the pretty girls whose beauty stood out among the others, like Zhao Yifan, Su Xia, and Lin Jiao. Listening to Zhuangjiang, Li Hao understood his intention behind the words. Li Hao shook his head and laughed. I really have never seen this brand before, let me look it up on Google. Two of them asked seriously, as if they were really learning something new. In fact, they were actually mocking Chen Hao. Chen Hao didn't feel embarrassed because of that. However, Zhao Yifan and the girls vented their spleen while looking at Chen Hao. Humph! Looking down on others, you deserve the scoffing now, poor loser. Lin Jiao laughed softly. Being a student who studied abroad, his tactful mockery is much better than a direct insult. He is so cool. Zhao Yifan thought. Obviously, Zhuangjiang targeted Chen Hao because of her. He did not make his insults obvious, unlike Su Nan. Zhuangjiang mocked him in a way that people couldn't tell it. This made Zhao Yifan happy because she thought that Zhuangjiang was wise and because of what he had done for her. Zhuangjiang, let me introduce my friends to you. After glancing at Chen Hao, Zhao Yifan immediately introduced her friends to Zhuangjiang. Zhuangjiang introduced his high school friend, Li Hao, to them too. Li Hao's family ran a training institute. It was a famous training franchising company on Jinling Commercial Street. Everyone took their seats. Zhuangjiang sat opposite of Zhao Yifan, naturally. As for Li Hao, he seemed to take an interest in Su Xia and Lin Jiao. His sight was fixed on the two of them. While conversing, he kept showing off with the help of Zhuangjiang. The main characters today were actually Yang Hui and Su Xia. No one ever thought that Zhao Yifan's childhood friend would appear and join them, snatching away his opportunity. Yang Hui felt unhappy about it. Of course Chen Hao had noticed that. Seeing his friend's opportunity being snatched away, Chen Hao couldn't stay out of business. Fortunately, he already had a plan. Before this, Chen Hao had called Li Zhenqiu in his dorm, telling him to arrange a visit to the hot spring villa with his friends today. This was to support Yang Hui, so that he could gain more admiration from Su Xia. Moreover, Ma Zionan had always wanted to visit the villa. Chen Hao looked at the guy named Li Hao. Knowing that Su Xia was invited out by Yang Hui for dinner, Li Hao kept pestering him. Li Hao asked about Yang Hui's family background. In other words, he was trying to say, is your family as rich as mine? Whole family's business went bankrupt overnight. Ming Huang Restaurant, which had always been their main source of income, was forced to move out of Jinling Commercial Street. Why is Uncle Zhuang taking over the business? Zhuangjiang saw all the girls looking at him. All of a sudden, his vanity was greatly satisfied. He nodded his head. Yeah, my dad is planning to do so. Anyhow, all of us know that business on Jinling Commercial Street is booming, so no one would doubt the business value there. Not to mention that my dad always goes to Jinling Commercial Street, he is also a regular customer of Hot Spring Villa. Hot Spring Villa. Everyone was excited once they heard the name of Hot Spring Villa. Zhuangjiang nodded his head again and smiled. Why have you been there before? She thought about the embarrassment that Ning Fan caused when he mentioned the resort. But Zhao Yifan didn't intend to hide from Zhuangjiang. She told him everything that happened with Ning Fan that day. After listening to her, Zhuangjiang laughed and said, I never thought Ning Fan would end up in this situation. But Yifan, since you didn't get to go to the villa, I'll bring you there this time. I just have to give my dad a call. Whoa! Zhuangjiang, really? Lin Jiao asked in a lovely tone. Of course. Excuse me for a while, I'll call my dad now. Zhuangjiang dialed a number once he finished his words. After explaining the situation, he hung up the phone. Why don't we leave now? I'm afraid there will be a lot of customers in the afternoon, then it will be difficult for my dad to make an appointment. Yes. Sure. All the girls agreed. Great. Then Li Hao will drive there too. We go in 2 cars. After Zhuangjiang finished speaking, Li Hao went to get his car happily. Zhuangjiang, 2 cars should be enough to bring 7 of us including Zionan. But how about them? Zhao Yifan pointed at Chen Hao, Yang Hui, and the rest of them. Zhuangjiang asked them, none of you drove here. Yang Hui's face turned red. He shook his head and said, it's okay. We are not joining. Ma Zionan felt so bad because she was stuck in the middle. I'm not going if they are not going. Chen Hao really didn't want to put Ma Zionan in an awkward situation every time. He knew that she really wanted to visit the resort. Chen Hao immediately said, Zionan, you go with them first. We have ordered a table of food. We'll meet you there once we finish eating. Chen Hao purposely said this so that Zhao Yifan and Su Xia could hear him. Yang Hui has ordered a table of food, and you are leaving now without even eating any of it. How could you be so inconsiderate? Zhao Yifan, who was observant, understood his words and immediately scorned, oh, you are going there later. Do you think you can enter the resort later without Zhuangjiang? It's just a table of food, so do you need to be so stingy, or shall I help you pay for the meal? Yang Hui shook his hand and said, you don't have to. Forget about us, just go. Su Xia, see you next time. Yang Hui took a quick glance at Su Xia. I was about to say see you later. But Zhao Yifan is right, how would I be able to enter the villa later? Yang Hui thought. Then, Zhao Yifan and the girls left in excitement, hoping that it wouldn't be another embarrassing event like the other day. After they left, Yang Hui looked at the dishes on the table. He was disappointed. Hui, don't be upset, we're going to the villa later as I said. Chen Hui tapped on Yang Hui's shoulder. Yang Hui smiled bitterly. I know you're trying to cheer me up. Thank you for that. There is so much food left, so let's not waste them. After we finish eating, let's go back to our dorm and sleep. Chen Hao knew that Yang Hui thought he was just talking nonsense to cheer him up. Chen Hao smiled, thinking that he shouldn't hide from them anymore. To be frank, he was the reason why Yang Hui and his friends were being laughed at and bullied all the time. Chen Hao felt bad about it too. Immediately he took out his phone and called Li Zhenqiu. Zhenqiu, I'm going to the hot spring villa with my friends later. Can you arrange 2 cars to send us there? Li Zhenqiu replied respectfully, Roger, Mr. Chen. Where are you now? Chen Hao told him the address and location. Yang Hui and the others looked at Chen Hao in surprise. Damn, Chen, who did you call just now? Chapter 19 Fetching Mr. Chen. Yang Hui knew that Chen Hao was an honest person. In spite of his vanity, he would not have deceived them by making such a phone call after those people left. Everyone wondered what happened. Is it true that Chen can bring us to the hot spring villa? How is that possible? Listening to Yang Hui's question, Chen Hao didn't say anything but smile. He was trying to tell them, soon, you'll know. Excuse me, sir. Will you still be dining here, or? A pretty waitress came to them and asked politely. Although she was trying to be polite, she couldn't hide her scornful attitude. Of course she knew who was the one who ordered the food. Looking at the current situation, she knew that all the pretty girls had left with the two rich young masters. Meanwhile, all the customers in the restaurant looked at Chen Hao, Yang Hui, and the others with smiles on their faces. They felt humiliated, as if their girlfriends were being snatched away in front of everyone. That was why the pretty waitress came over to ask them if they were still having meals in the restaurant. If not, they should quickly pay the bill at the front counter. No. Please help us pack all the food. We'll bring it over and have it in the hot spring villa. Of course Chen Hao could recognize the disdain in their eyes. Seeing that Yang Hui was so upset, none of them had the mood to continue eating here. But it was indeed wasteful to leave a table of food here. The pretty waitress and people who sat near them laughed profusely when they heard what Chen Hao said. FCK, is this dude a fool? Who does he think he is? It's just a table of food and they still want to pack it and they want to bring it over to the hot spring villa. Don't they know that one main course in hot spring villa cost more than the table of food they ordered here? Haha. I guess they are just seeking validation after the pretty girls they invited have all left with other guys. College students nowadays only care about their pride. They are not shameful at all when they brag about themselves. The people around were mocking them in whispers. This made Yang Hui and the others feel awkward. They couldn't help but keep quiet with their heads down. The waitress rolled her eyes and looked at Chen Hao with derision. In that case, who would like to pay the bill? Me. Yang Hui said immediately. This table of food cost as much as 800. It was half of Yang Hui's monthly living expenses. Chen Hao packed the food on the table into plastic bags. He ignored the laughter and scorns from the others. Broom. Meanwhile, 3 luxury cars drove toward the restaurant and stopped right in front of the entrance. Whoa! There are 3 Rolls-Royce Phantom. Damn, who's the rich guy? This car cost millions each. Not only the car model is incredible. Look at the car number plates. The car number plates of these 3 Rolls-Royce Phantom were special sequence numbers of 6, 8, and 9, which were 66,666, 88,800, and 88 and 99,999. These special sequences of car number plates cost about 1 or 2 millions. Soon, the cars outside gained the attention from all the customers in the restaurant. Even the waitress was astonished. Is the owner of the cars coming to our restaurant to have a meal? I will gain attention if I am the one who welcomes the car's owner. She quickly tidied her uniform and trotted to the door. Let's see if the owner is here to have a meal. 3 men got out of the cars. 3 of them were in their tidy black suits with sunglasses and earphones. They looked exactly like the bodyguards of VIPs on TV. They retained a very strong and solemn aura. Sir, how can I help? The pretty waitress welcomed them immediately. However, the men didn't even look at her and went straight to Chen Hao, who was packing the food. Mr. Chen. 3 of them bowed with 90 degrees and greeted him politely. What, Mr. Chen? They called the fool who boasted just now as Mr. Chen. Everyone in the restaurant was dumbfounded. Yang Hui and the others were even more surprised. What's going on? Is Chen Hao that awesome? Chen Hao had finished packing the food on the table. All right, Hui, let's go to the resort by car. Mr. Chen, we'll take these. A few bodyguards rushed to his side and took the food from Chen Hao. Yang Hui and the others followed Chen Hao out unbelievably. Mr. Chen, have a good day. Upon reaching the entrance, the pretty waitress greeted him in a hurry with a pale face. Chen Hao only nodded his head. His face was blushing as well. The stares from the public made him uneasy. They got into the cars quickly and were on their way to Hot Spring Villa. In the car, Yang Hui couldn't stop himself from asking Chen Hao, what's going on? Chen Hao felt it was too early to tell them everything. He said, Hui, I'll slowly explain this matter later on. But remember, your business is my business. I will make them regret the embarrassment you suffered today. Yang Hui and the rest stopped asking but nodded their heads in surprise. Soon, they reached the villa. Initially, the drivers were supposed to take Chen Hao and his friends to the VIP room for dinner. They even arranged a lot of entertaining activities for them. But Chen Hao noticed that Yang Hui and the rest were tense with the bodyguards around. In fact, Chen Hao felt uneasy too. Chen Hao let the drivers go back once they reached their destination. They planned to have dinner after exploring the villa. Damn! Chen, you're so cool. You really brought us to this villa as you said. Li Rui couldn't keep from admiring him while walking around the villa. Hehe, I am acquainted with the CEO here. Order whatever you want. Enjoy yourselves to the full, Chen Hao said smilingly. Ah! I know now. Chen, let me guess. The CEO that you mentioned is the dad of the girl that you saved the other day. And he is also the one who gave you the VIP shopping card as gratitude, am I right? Well, I guess yes. Those cards were indeed sent to him by Li Zhenqiu upon his sister's order. Yang Hui and the rest finally understood. They felt safe to enjoy themselves. The villa was extremely huge, and it took up the space of half of the mountain. The view around the villa compound was breathtaking, but there wasn't much for them to do. The hot spring and the restaurant were actually inside the resort. After becoming familiar with the surroundings, Chen Hao said, let's go in. We'll have dinner first, then we can take a bath in the hot spring. I've checked online, they mentioned that people were prohibited to enter the resort if they did not plan to consume in the resort, is that true? Li Rui asked curiously. Actually, it was enough for him to just have a look around the villa compound. He knew that not everyone could stroll around the villa compound. Don't worry. Chen Hao gave him a smile. This villa was run by his sister, but it was registered under his name. So he wasn't worried about it. There was a plain-looking bridge connecting the villa compound, which was the outer section, and the inner section of the resort. While Chen Hao and his friends entered the inner section, they met Zhao Yifan and the other girls who were taking photos. Look! It's Chen Hao and his friends. How did they enter the resort? Lin Jia recognized them at once and said surprisingly. Zhao Yifan was having a conversation with Zhuang Qiang. Hearing Lin Jiao, she frowned and turned to look at their direction. Indeed, it was them. How did they enter the resort? Zhao Yifan asked in surprise. Chapter 20 A meal that costs over 300,000. Damn! Don't tell me you snuck in from somewhere else. Li Hao asked. He threw a malicious look at Chen Hao and the others. That was what crossed the mind of Zhao Yifan and the group of girls as well. Think about it. Hot Spring Villa was such a high-class place. How could anyone come and go as they wished? Even Zhuang Qiang, who was of such high status, had to continuously call his father to connect with someone on the inside, and only then were they let in by the guards and allowed access into the villa. Despite that, they were only allowed access to the villa outer compound. Damn! If they really snuck in, that would be so embarrassing. Embarrassment would be the least of our concerns. If the guards find out that they know us, wouldn't we get chased out as well? The group of ladies stared at Chen Hao distastefully. At the same time, they muttered in panic. Yang Hui, how did you all enter this place? Su Xia kept silent. She walked over toward Yang Hui and quietly asked. It seemed like she was concerned for Yang Hui. We came in from the front entrance. Chen Hao explained. Yang Hui also nodded while looking at Su Xia. Haha, front entrance, do you think the guards are that blind? Lin Jiao, who had been flirtatious all this while, snapped at Chen Hao. She swore to God that if she was chased out due to Chen Hao, she would slap him 10 times. Viciously. Zhao Yifan also knew the severe consequences of sneaking in. She stopped in front of Chen Hao and solemnly said, Chen Hao, I hope you can tell us the truth. If you really snuck in just for the sake of your pride, I can let Zhuangqiang know in advance. Who knows, maybe he can think of a way to help you. Yes. That way things won't go out of hand. Zhuangqiang agreed with Zhao Yifan. He thought, Zhao Yifan's group of friends were a bunch of weirdos. Chen Hao listened to them ramble on and on. He was really speechless. Elle walked in from the front entrance, so what other truths do they want in order to satisfy them? Do I have to tell them that Elle climbed in from a dog hole? I am telling the truth. If you all are willing to, we can always hang out and have fun inside the villa. We could have a meal and experience the hot springs. The only reason Chen Hao said this was due to Ma Zionan. In reality, Ma Zionan, who was next to him, was feeling anxious. She was afraid that Chen Hao would get into trouble. However, his good intentions were not appreciated. Instead, the group of people looked at Chen Hao as if he was an idiot. What did you say? You still want to enter the intersection of the villa? Why don't you take a look at yourself in the mirror? Someone like you, can't you see the guards who are standing there? Lin Jiao furiously reproached. Exactly. Even Zhuangqing could not bring so many of us inside. What makes you think that you can? The group of girls chided. Haha, there are 14 of us. Ignoring the cost of the meal, just by soaking in the hot springs would cost more than 150,000. If you were to include the cost of the meal, that would at least be in the range of 200,000 to 300,000. If there were fewer of us, I could still work something out. However, with so many of us, it would also be very tight on my budget. Zhuangqiang threw a bitter smile at Chen Hao. Zhao Yifan was very touched as Zhuangqiang was so kind toward them. At the same time, she got even more speechless at Chen Hao. It's okay. Why don't we come again in the future? Let's leave in order to avoid this awkward situation. No way. Why should we leave because of this loser? Exactly. Zhao Yifan, we rarely have such opportunities to come in and visit. All of a sudden, everyone's gaze was on Chen Hao. They all stared angrily at him. That was exactly the effect Zhao Yifan wanted. She wanted to force Chen Hao to leave. Chen Hao bitterly smiled and shook his head. If you are willing to follow me in, then by all means. He looked at Ma Zionan and said, Zionan, do you believe me? If you believe me, then come along with me. Ma Zionan gritted her teeth and ultimately nodded. Chen Hao then brought the few of them to cross the bridge and walked toward the intersection. Haha, wait for them to get punished. If anything happens later, they'd better not drag us into it. Such an embarrassment. Lin Jiao looked on, speechless. This guy sure knows how to joke around. Zhuangqiang simply stood there and enjoyed the show as well. However, what happened next blew their mind. Wherever Chen Hao went, he could come and go as he wished. The group of guards even bowed when they saw Chen Hao. What is going on? Zhuangqiang was in disbelief. Lin Jiao's mouth fell wide open and she had to cover it with her hands. She thought that Chen Hao would get beaten up and she had been secretly delighted about it. Yet, he was able to walk in casually. The group of ladies had confused looks on their faces. Even more so for Zhao Yifan. If she had not seen this with her own eyes, she would not have believed it. In her eyes, Chen Hao was always the poor loser that was to be looked down on. She knew that Zionan had the intention of helping them build a closer relationship. However, from the day of the bag incident until now, Zhao Yifan had felt that he was an ultimate loser. She was fed up with him whenever they met. Yet now, he could roam freely at Hot Springs Villa. Even Zhuangqiang did not have the authority to bring so many people into the villa. Yifan, what do we do now? Lin Jiao stared at Chen Hao's distancing shadow and she was not willing to accept the situation that had just unfolded. Zhao Yifan glanced at Zhuangqiang and Li Hao, who were next to her. She had a questioning look on her face. Zhuangqiang's father could pressure Li Fiheng from the Imperial KTV to bow down and submit to them. Hence, if his father was willing to help, this wouldn't be a problem as well. Zhuangqiang's expression changed. It could be said that Chen Hao just slapped their faces and made a joke out of them. If Zhuangqiang followed Chen Hao right now, he would definitely be treated as a joke. What should I do? I will call my father again. I don't want to be made fun of in front of Zhao Yifan. Thus, he took out his phone and called his father and narrated the situation. Zhuangqiang's father was also someone who prioritized reputation. Upon hearing that his son had been made fun of through monetary means, he could not stand it. He immediately promised that he would fund Zhuangqiang another 100,000 in order to gain his reputation back. Although it was a huge sum of money, it was a matter of their reputation. Whatever, nothing special about that. Yifan, let's go inside as well. I will bring everyone into the inner section of Hot Springs Villa. Zhuangqiang squeezed the words out of his mouth. Great! Zhuangqiang is so cool. Yes, we cannot be put down by the poor dude and be made fun of. Lin Jiao and the others started cheering. Each person's entrance fee already cost around 10,000, excluding the hot springs, dining service, and other entertainment options like golf. The 8 of them spent 80,000 just like that. So what if they were inside? They would merely be passers-by here. On the other hand, I would still be able to treat you all to a game of bowling. Zhuangqiang threw a glance at Li Hao. They also lost their cool and spent the 80,000. Worst come to worst, they would spend all 150,000. Bowling should be the cheapest activity in the villa. At least it was cheaper than having a meal. Everyone followed Zhuangqiang inside. The inner section was really worlds apart compared to the outer section. It was like visiting a completely different planet. No wonder all the rich businessmen from out of town treated the hot springs resort like heaven. It really felt and looked like heaven. Zhao Yifan was still in shock. Being mocked by Chen Hao left a lasting effect and it had only subsided a little. Ah! Take a look there. What do you all see? At this moment, Lin Jiao, who was touching up her makeup in order to take a selfie, spotted a loft. The loft was elegant and it was located right on top of the most beautiful hot spring waterfall. There were people having a meal inside. The surrounding water started to turn into mist and slowly rose. There was even a rainbow in the background. From the eyes of the people above, it looked as if they were dining on top of the clouds. It was such a beautiful sight. Zhao Yifan also noticed how beautiful it was. She wished that she was the one having a meal up there. That way, she would be the center of attention and everyone would be envious of her. That's Ru Wei Cafe. Zhuang Qiang also could not help but be envious about it. Brother Qiang, what is Ru Wei Cafe? It doesn't sound special at all. Is it very expensive? Lin Jiao and the group of girls asked. Doesn't sound special, very expensive. It is more than just expensive. Putting the cost of the meal aside, do you know how much it cost just to enter Ru Wei Cafe? It costs 300,000. Upon hearing that, everyone was shocked. Entering this place alone cost 300,000. Oh my god! Zhuang Qiang knew more than that. He said, not only do you have to be rich, you would also have to be of a certain status before being allowed to enter. Therefore, people who are allowed to dine in there must be wealthy businessmen. Huge business tycoons would utilize that area in order to have a meal together. Zhao Yifan was devastated. Hey, that's not right. Yifan and Zhuang Qiang, take a look at the people dining there. Why does it look like Chen Hao and his dorm mates? Lin Jiao stared for a long while and finally saw what was out of place. Su Xia, who was beside her, also nodded. Yes, I saw Yang Hui as well. Zhao Yifan's heart sank. She followed Zhuang Qiang, Li Hao, and the others to get a closer look. They could make out the silhouette of Chen Hao and the others. Impossible. Zhao Yifan could not believe it. How could this poor dude be in there? Absolutely impossible. Ring. Just then, Zhao Yifan's phone rang. Ma Zionan was the one who called. Yifan, why did you all take so long? The food has been served already. I can spot all of you, come on up. The view up here is breathtaking. As she was talking over the phone, Zhao Yifan could see her waving from the loft. She was motioning for them to go up. My god! It really is Chen Hao, Zionan, and the others. How? Lin Jiao gulped. This was so unreal. Zhuang Qiang and Li Hao turned purple. Their faces have been thrown out of the window today. Yifan, let's go. Let's go up now. Lin Jiao could not wait to head up. Most importantly, the rest of the rich and famous visitors in the villa were staring at them in envy. Their narcissistic needs were fulfilled and she felt inflated. Zhao Yifan bit on her lips. All right. Let's go up. She had to find out what was going on with Chen Hao. Otherwise, she would not be able to sleep well from today onward. Li Hao, on the other hand, looked nervously at Zhuang Qiang. He said, Zhuang Qiang, this poor dude is actually so powerful. I think we should make a move. Let's not try to court his friends anymore. Li Hao was already afraid. Zhuang Qiang snorted. Damn! What are you afraid of? I don't believe he is this powerful. Let's go up and check out the situation.
Hey kid, don't ever let them get inside your head. They'll tell you what to do in life instead of everything you know that you could get. Don't let them guide your life towards regret. I'll fight for what I love with every breath. My past is filled with things I won't forget.